It was a crush injury. So my fourth and fifth metacarpal, which are my knuckles, I don't really have anymore. So it basically, if you take Smarties and step on them, they're gonna turn to dust, right? Same thing happened with the bones in my hand. Just turned to dust. Most excruciating pain. I can't really convey how much it hurt. Think about how many nerves you have in your hand, and they're squished. Basically, it was awful.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 12 of the Andrew Deitch podcast. What's up everybody? I'm super excited by all the amazing feedback that I've been getting. Episode 10 with Owen Lutz looks like it might be the most popular podcast to date. And it's only been up for a couple days, but we're getting over 800 downloads per day right now. So I know I say it every episode, but I can't thank you all enough. Please keep sharing the podcast with your friends and your family and show me some love on iTunes. That would be amazing. My guest today is the nationally ranked athlete, future doctor, and world traveler, Matthew Schaefer. Matthew recently graduated from LSU, where he was the school mascot, and he just got accepted to Harvard. What? Yep. He got accepted to Harvard School of Public Health, where he will be working on getting his master's in environmental health. And he's taking the Mcat on June 30th so that he can apply to the medical school. So I want to wish him the best of luck there. But during our conversation, Matthew shared his amazing story of how he went from being one of the highest ranked triathletes in the nation to having it all taken away when he was hit by a truck while training. And you heard a little snippet of that at the beginning, but pretty crazy story. But we talk about how his recovery from that accident actually inspired him to go into the medical field. We talked about his travels all over Asia and Europe and his time as Mike the Tiger at LSU. I hope that you enjoy this conversation. I definitely know I did. So give it up for my friend, Matthew Schaefer. All right, Matthew Schaefer, we're live, sir. We're officially live.
Oh, it's not unofficial anymore?
It is not unofficial anymore. It's actually live.
Excellent, excellent.
Well, it's not live like broadcasting to the world or anything, but...
Oh, that's what I thought it was.
No.
I thought you hacked the system somehow.
I hacked the Wi-Fi. So we are here in Matthew's office.
That sounds really official.
It does.
I wouldn't call it an office. I would call it
a closet.
A closet, jail cell for studying. That's about it. No windows.
No windows. Yes.
Multiple dry erase boards, 2 computer screens, lots of water.
Yes. So, for people who don't know, Matthew, you just got into Harvard.
I did.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
And how many hours a day are you having to study?
Legitimately, I study probably right now because I don't have a job and I'm not in school. I'm studying because I'm studying for the Mcat. I'm getting my master's currently, or will be in August, but studying for my Mcat, I'm studying upwards of 12 hours every single day, 7 days a week for 2 months for it. And during the school year, it was no different. Probably a solid 8 hours a day. I mean, it's a full-time job when you're a student, you know?
Definitely.
You can't just half-ass it, you know?
Yeah, so for people who have no idea and are stupid like me, what exactly is the Mcat?
So the Mcat is the Medical College Admissions Test, and that is one of the steps that you need to do to get into medical school. And it's extremely rigorous, very, very rigorous. As you can see, we're sitting by all my books. There's actually a lot of them.
There is.
But that's just one of the steps. So last year I took the GRE, which there's multiple entrance exams for different masters and doctorates, and the GRE is the one to get into the graduate school, which I am starting in fall up at Harvard, and that is for environmental health. Since my undergraduate was in environmental science, and I kind of had a change of heart after a big life-changing experience, which we'll get to that in a little bit, but I really feel that this degree of environmental health is going to bridge my environmental steward of a background with my newfound love of healthcare, and it's kind of how I look at everything right now.
That's awesome, dude. That's really cool. So you went to LSU, right? That's where you just graduated from?
I did. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Go Mike the Tiger. We'll get into that too.
That's right.
But just to kind of give people some good background of you, you were born here, right? Or were you born
in this office?
Not in this office. But where were you born? I forget.
Northside
Hospital, Atlanta.
I was.
So you've been in ATL for this whole time.
ATLian? Is that what they're called? ATLian?
I think that's what they call
them. My whole life facing the king and queen was where I was born. I had one of those rooms.
Nice.
So where were you born? Were you
I think
here?
I was born in Northside too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was. Northside Hospital. Good old stomping grounds.
That's right.
I've been there a couple times since, actually, because my cousin had a baby there. Okay. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say you had a baby there. I was like,
I did not.
I thought I knew almost everything about you, but I did not know that.
So you were born in Atlanta, in Northside Hospital. And then
it's ITP, by the way, so that's important. It's actually
inside the perimeter. For those of you who are listening, who don't know about Atlanta, basically there's a circular road called 285, and if you live outside of the perimeter of 285, you technically do not live in the city of Atlanta. And if you're inside of 285, you're technically inside the perimeter. ITP,
which we're not. But we were born ITP, so I guess technically.
Currently, we are not ITP. We are OTP. But, I think where you're born, you got to represent. You know, it's funny. When I was in Italy, I went to Siena. Mm-hmm. And Siena is like this crazy medieval city. And it has this giant wall. And if you basically, lots of people live outside the actual city because it's like a medieval city. It's really hard. You can't drive cars in there. It's on a giant mountain, basically, so it's like you're restricted to every household can only have like one car or something like that. And it's crazy because everyone wants to be born within the city walls.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because then you're technically a natural born Siena citizen or whatever. But
no way.
Now the hospital inside the city walls is like shut down, so no one's born inside the city walls anymore. But like back in the day, it was like a really big deal if you were born in the city walls for whatever reason.
That's crazy.
So like your mom would be in labor and she'd be like, your family would be freaking out trying to get you inside the city walls just to have a baby. But that's a different story for another time. But so you grew up Catholic, right?
I did.
Still Catholic? Would you consider yourself Catholic?
I still consider myself a practicing Catholic.
Nice.
I wear bracelets saying I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me.
Nice.
Kind of just some good motivation.
That's cool.
Helps get through your day sometimes. So
yeah, that's awesome, man. Whatever helps.
Yeah.
So you grew up going to a private school, right? Pretty small school, or did you start off?
I started off at a little public school called Simpson Elementary, which is right here in Peachtree Corners, and then from there I ended up changing and went to a private Catholic school called Notre Academy.
And that has very few students, right?
Very few. I had 13 kids. I was in actually the first year that it was open.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And you started there at what age?
I started there 6th grade.
Oh, okay.
So, were you at Perimeter Elementary and
Yeah, I was
middle?
At Perimeter. I started off being homeschooled, and then I went there 4th grade through 8th grade at Perimeter. So, I kind of had a similar experience. There was really, my class when I graduated had like 55 people or something like that, maybe 60. And so, yeah, very small Christian school, and then we both went off to good old Norcross.
How'd you like the transition? Like, what'd you think of it at first?
It was kind of crazy because like I said, I was so used to having this super small sheltered lifestyle where no one did drugs, no one had sex, no one swore, and then all of a sudden I was able to wear whatever I wanted to school. I was around a lot more diverse of a group. I was just thrown into, kind of the whole partying, not even like thrown into that scene, but that was prevalent, you know what I mean? Like, that was happening. So it kind of, it was weird. Because
it's definitely a change from Notre Dame Academy and Perimeter.
Yeah. And I actually got into this with my podcast with Elizabeth Ward, who you know. Because me and Elizabeth both went to Perimeter together, and then we had that transition. So I kind of like talked about that a little bit on that podcast, but what was the transition like for you?
It was pretty big. Going from, what's the term or phrase? Big fish
Or a little fish, big pond or something.
So you go from a big fish in a little pond to a little fish in a big pond, and it's just like, it's a whirlwind, you know? Because first off, you don't really know many of the people, and it was awesome. We became friends, which was great.
We became friends like pretty much like the first day of high school, which is kind of crazy.
Pretty sure it was the first day of high school.
Yeah, because I barely knew anybody, and I just remember like we ended up, I think it was in our English class was where we became friends, so like the first day, and it was all downhill.
We basically just got in trouble every day. You know?
Basically.
We made were they Chuck Norris jokes?
Norris jokes.
So every week we had vocabulary, and I think we kept this up for the entire year. I mean, you did it mostly. Like you were the genius behind all the jokes, but every vocabulary word we had for the entire year had the example that we had to give it in a sentence with pertained to Chuck Norris, which our teacher hated that.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible because, like we had a new vocab word, so we had to figure out how to use it in a sentence, and so it was always Chuck Norris. And one time I think we had to give a presentation about it.
Yeah, we did.
And we couldn't stop laughing because our vocab sentences were so bad too. Like, I don't even remember what the words were, but they didn't really even make sense in the sentence. It was just like, Chuck Norris doesn't know how to use the word blank.
Yeah.
So he fought somebody instead or something like that.
And then we got kicked out into the hallway and had to write a poem.
And then we wrote the poem about Chuck Norris, which made our teacher even more mad.
Oh God.
That was like towards kind of, I think like third semester or third quarter or something, but of that school year. I can't remember actually. It was deeper into the school year though, but that was hilarious.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite moments from high school. And also when were you in the class where we were playing Halo all the time? I don't think you were.
Was that?
I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
Did you remember that though? So like
I remember playing Halo
on the school server. Someone.
On the computer. Yeah.
Yeah. So at school, like someone had put a copy of Halo on the school server.
Yes, what class was that? It was something with the computer though.
I took computer science and we played it in there a lot, and also economics with Coach Aldridge.
That's where it was. Yeah, because he had those computers on the side. And we could go over and work on them.
And we were supposed to also like do some project on the computer, and literally like every week we only had to do like 5 minutes of work on the computer.
Oh yeah.
And so we would just play Halo the rest of the time, and our teacher would play with us.
Yeah, it was the GDP project.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, and and then the funny part is I ended up getting in-school suspension because what I did was the copy of Halo was in a really obvious place on the server. So I made a copy of it.
Wait. Let me stop you. That was you?
No, so it wasn't originally me. Someone else put it on there.
Oh shit, because I had no idea if that was you. Okay.
It wasn't me, but someone else had brought a copy of it and put it on the school server. So basically anyone on the school servers could access those files, basically. And it was supposed to be used for like, if you're English class, you were supposed to do a project and the teacher needed to give the class a bunch of files or whatever that they were supposed to use as references. She could put it on the school server in this public document, and anyone that was at school could like access the files. But students could write to the files too. And there wasn't anything really stopping you of like what you were putting on the servers. So someone basically took a flash drive, stuck it in one of the school computers, and then downloaded Halo and a bunch of other games too, like Mario Kart and all this other stuff to the school server. But it was in a really obvious folder. It was in like one of the first layers. Like it wasn't hidden in like a secret folder. Mm-hmm. So I took the liberty of copying that game and making another copy deep hidden in some other like robotics class folder that no one was ever going to access. And so eventually they found out, and I got pulled into the office, and I was like, you don't understand. I did not bring the game to the school. I merely made a copy of it and put it somewhere else. I wasn't the one bringing it, but they didn't listen. They didn't care.
Dude, I had no idea that happened.
Yeah, and so I got in-school suspension for that for like a couple of days. But it was actually kind of awesome because like you just get put in this room with all these other kids, and then they're just like, okay, do all your homework. And I was always so behind in my homework. So it was just like 2 days where I just took Adderall and like did all my homework and all my projects for like the upcoming weeks.
That's awesome.
And then I was like ahead. It was awesome.
That's great.
I just missed the lessons for the day.
Dude,
like,
you know what just popped into my head?
What?
Do you remember bobbing for onions in
At Young Life?
At Young Life in soggy dog food.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the grossest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Grossest sober thing I've ever done.
Grossest sober thing. That's a good distinction.
It is, that I remember, so. I really don't know what's even more gross than that, but just
that was pretty gross.
To be made.
Yeah, so anyways, to kind of like move on a little bit, but yeah, we kind of got into some trouble in high school, but I remember you were like one of my first friends that I made in high school, and I also, one of my distinct memories from high school, which it's kind of weird to think about, but like we were in a PE class together with Coach Bowden. Remember her? She was like crazy. She was really strict.
Yeah, I remember her.
I actually talked to my friend Jamie about this on a podcast that I recorded a couple of days ago, and I was talking about like she was actually a good PE teacher. Like she actually, like when we went to do like the weight training stuff, I think a lot of teachers just kind of said, okay, whatever, you can fuck off and just like work out. But like she actually kind of taught us stuff and like made us do things. And I remember you were like one of the few kids in the class that I actually worked out. Mm-hmm. And like I remember I couldn't even bench press the 45-pound bench. Like I could do it like once or twice, like just the bar. And I remember you could just rep it for days. Like you were just like, literally this feels like nothing. And you repped it like 80 times in a row or something. And I'm just like, holy shit.
It was 100 times. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
I think that after like 50 or 60, you would just stop because you'd already proved your point. Like 60
Probably.
reps on a bench, like you're going to just get like more exhausted from like the cardiovascular workout than your muscles fatiguing.
Little lactic acid buildup.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like 9th grade me.
It really does. And so my first impressions of you were definitely like, you were definitely way stronger than me for sure, because you actually like worked out and stuff, and you were doing like triathlons and stuff. And I just was like, damn, I need to like actually work out, because me and Matthew are like the same age, and I'm weak as fuck compared to him, and like I just need to get stronger.
Dude, not anymore. Especially seeing all your like acrobatic tricks, like you're
doing some ninja stuff.
Yeah, if y'all are following Snapchat, he did a backflip last night, which was freaking awesome.
This is very true.
That was cool. So
yeah, so maybe not these days, but
not these days,
but back in the day, you definitely were showing me up a lot. I was a skinny little fucker.
Yeah, dude, we were
tiny.
We both were. And how times have changed, though. You know, now you're running a podcast.
Yeah, man. Just doing my thing. You know what's awesome. Crazy is actually I checked the stats this morning on the or a little bit earlier, and I launched the podcast like 2 days ago, and as of now, I have like 350 subscribers.
Sweet, dude.
Which is actually a lot.
That's exciting.
I mean, for me, I feel very honored that many people would want to listen to me talk, and my friends, and so that's actually pretty amazing. And then now I kind of feel more of a responsibility to make sure like these like that I'm putting them out, and that the content's good, and that like, you know, I'm trying to make it as good as I can. Yeah.
I mean, the most important thing I really figured out over the 9th grade Miss Johnson days, from putting Chuck Norris in every sentence and getting kicked out of class to somehow getting a master's at Harvard, is just do you, and don't let anybody tell you what you can or can't do. That's true. Just kind of like.
And the funny thing is, too, is I remember, like, in high school, especially in math, I remember, like, me and you were, like, really bad students in math. We were terrible in math.
Oh, yeah.
We were, like, so bad. And I remember, actually, like, you know, Matthew was always talking about, you know, like, he had, like, huge aspirations. You're like, I'm going to be a doctor one day. Or, like, I'm going to be this one day. Or I'm going to go to Harvard one day. Like, I think I remember you saying something like that, like, back in the day. And, like, we were all kind of just like, okay, yeah, sure, Matthew. Okay, whatever, bro. And, like, now here you are, dude. Like, I can't be more proud of you. Like,
thanks, man.
That's awesome. Like, you're literally fulfilling your dreams, dude.
Yeah.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
All right, Randolph Rendale. Oh, what a good show. I missed that.
But, so anyways, to kind of fast forward a little bit. So, you were doing triathlons at the time, right? And you were, like, ranked, like, really high.
So,
you started off swimming.
I started off, to keep moving forward. So basically we're both little shits in high school. It's kind of what y'all probably have understood from this whole
I was still kind of
conversation.
I was still kind of prude, like the first couple years of high school. Like I never like tried to smoke or like drink. Like at least the first like year and a half or so, I was like still kind of very you know, all this stuff is really bad, which, you know, like early age drinking, obviously I wouldn't recommend 16-year-olds going out and getting shit-faced, but, you know, experimenting a little bit with, I have nothing against, that, because I think the drinking age in America is kind of silly.
Yeah.
I think that...
Especially when going to Europe. We've both spent time abroad. And
yeah, I think that governmental paternalism is kind of silly. Kind of the government telling you, finger wagging and kind of telling you what you can and can't do. I think it's kind of up to your parents and kind of up to your maturity level. Granted, I don't think that, a 15-year-old should be able to walk into a store and buy a handle of vodka, but I don't see why a 16-year-old shouldn't be able to walk into a store and buy a beer,
True.
Like in Germany, like beer is regulated like slightly different than hard liquor. So it's like, I don't see a problem with, some kids having some beers.
Yeah. I think it's like here versus, I spent a decent amount of time in China, and in China there's no regulation. You can buy alcohol. I mean, not technically, but when you're at dinner, they don't ID you or anything. They just bring you beer or whatever you want. And then also the same as in Ireland, and Prague was really lenient. But every time I was at the bar, I mean, you'd see younger children, but you wouldn't see them. I mean, they're not shit-faced or anything. They're way more mature. Here we have the problem of people blacking out really young. Because they're not like. They think they're mature, but they're not. But if you grow up with it, it's not as taboo.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like the stereotypical like Catholic schoolgirl. Like, you know what I mean? Like they tend to be like the sluttiest because they've they've been suppressed and like they've been told their whole life to be abstinent and all that stuff. So it's like as soon as they are alone with a dude, it's like holy crap! Like they're just so sexually wound up that it's just like letting the cat out of the bag kind of thing. And it's same deal here with alcohol. It's like if you tell someone for so long, you can't try that. You can't drink it.
No.
Yeah, it's like, your brain is telling you there's got to be a reason why this is so desirable and why so many people drink and, this is going to be awesome. And like the first time you have a beer, like it's not that big of a deal. It's like, this is so cool. You're kind of like, this tastes kind of bad. Like literally. But, I don't see, obviously alcohol can affect a developing brain as well. So I wouldn't encourage it for, young children to be drinking all the time, But I think that, what doesn't kill you, try it,
Yeah, just be smart,
Exactly. Don't be stupid. But anyways, and I'm also not condoning anyone to break the law here in America, but
not here.
If you happen to be on a cruise or you happen to be abroad or go to Mexico, give it a shot. It's not that.
But so after high school, like you said, I was into triathlons very heavily. I had some sponsors. I was thankful enough to have sponsors for bikes, helmets.
How much do those like carbon fiber bikes cost that you were getting?
Top ones maybe $8,000.
Wow. So these are not like a typical, when you're thinking of a bicycle, these almost resemble nothing like a typical bicycle that you'd think of.
No, they weigh about 13 pounds.
That's insane.
Pure carbon fiber.
The whole bike weighs 13 pounds.
The whole bike is about 13 pounds.
You probably lift it with one finger.
Yeah.
That's insane. How much is a helmet?
Good helmet. You can probably get one for about $300-400. The shoes maybe $400 or $500.
Are they carbon fiber helmets too?
The helmets aren't carbon fiber, but they're a special design. So when you're in like a triathlon, like it's called being in your air bars for like a big straightaway. They're designed for that. But altogether, I mean, it was really expensive, which is I think what hinders people from doing it sometimes, because you go out there and there's these people with $10,000 plus bikes, and it's just it's mind-boggling to see people with bikes more than cars. So I was really lucky and fortunate to
have some sponsors
to be able to do it. And so
how did you just like, so people are, if you're curious or whatever, how did you go about getting sponsors, or did they seek out you?
Well, so what happened was, when was this? 2010, I think. I was at a race. I don't remember which race it was. I don't think it was the national championship yet, but it was the year before we'll get to that next. Yeah. I think it was 2010 maybe. So I was probably 16 at the time, and I just won the entire race. And
this was like a national race, or like what was it?
This wasn't. I mean, there was probably a couple thousand people there, but
and there was in your age group. Like, what's the age group?
No, I won the whole thing.
So you won the entire race, adults, kids, everything.
Yeah, and I was probably 16 years old.
Holy shit! So for people who are like not educated in triathlons, How long do you have to? So it's swimming, biking, and then running, or swimming, running, biking?
Swimming, biking, then running, and they're all different. There's all different lengths.
So what was this?
My
length?
favorite were the Olympic distance. So you swim. The swimming is always variable. So it's around, let's say a mile. For the swimming.
Swim a mile.
Yeah, but the swimming it can be less, it can be more. It really just depends on the triathlon.
So if for people who are like, just so people can kind of have a reference, obviously you picture yourself swimming a mile, that's a long ass time, but like how many laps would that be in a traditional 25-meter pool?
66.
66 back and forths?
66 one way.
Down and back.
Down, like if you go down the length of the pool, that's 1. If you do a flip, like if you come back, that's 2.
Okay. So 66 25-meter lengths of a pool would be the mile.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Or 25 yards.
I'm winded after like 4.
Yeah. It's a lot. So you start with that, and then the biking is around 26 miles, 26.2 miles. And then the running is a 10K, which is about 6.2 miles.
Wow.
And so at 16, I was doing that, and I actually was winning all the races. And I was at an event where a man that was really high up in one of the biking companies that has performance bicycles came up to me and said, "Hey, that was awesome." We started talking. Ends up we're from the same area. Invited me out on a ride with like a lot of pro riders, and so I went out there. And being the little eager 16-year-old kid that I was, he told me at the beginning of the ride, which was 50 miles, and we did it 2-3 times a week, said, okay, at this stoplight, there's a 2-mile stretch where everybody gets up and just goes as fast as they possibly can. And given these people are like professionals. And
they do it for a living or like semi-professionally?
They're like semi-professionally.
Okay, so like they're getting paid, but it's not their full income.
Maybe some, I didn't really know all of them. This is coming from him, and this is now years ago. Maybe a few of them have been to Tour de France. Probably not. Probably like the tier below that, so like a semi-pro sort of thing. Gotcha. But they were not just a leisure group of cyclists by any means. And so we hit that 2 miles, and I wanted to impress the guy. I was a 16-year-old kid with all these adults.
He said, if you on this 2-mile stretch, you need to go as fast as you can.
He just said, just go. Once we get to this 2-mile stretch, I said, yes, sir. We get to the light. I just start hauling ass. And then he told me that there was another light. The next one was like 2 miles away. So I stopped and I'm like, oh shit, where is everybody? I thought I was lost. I waited there for, not too long. Turn around and then I see everybody coming up.
So you just smoked them?
Yeah, I guess I smoked them.
Wow.
And at the end, he said, all right, come to my shop.
We're there. And get a bike.
He didn't even say that. He said, just why don't you come to the shop, And so I did that, and he said, all right, what do you like? And just picked one out, and I went on from there. And,
so that was like your first sponsor?
That was my first sponsor, and then I was sponsored by some shoe companies and some helmet companies. And the next year, I didn't win overall. I was, I want to say I was second or third overall in the 2011 sprint national championship in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And so I was probably maybe I was still 16 at this point because it was in November. And I was first in my age group, but second or third overall, I believe. And that was in November, and I wanted to take the last semester off of high school because I was a senior at this point, kind of just have a good time with everyone and hang out with my friends because I wake up at 4:30. I'm sure if any of y'all are big time athletes, you wake up really early and have to get your workouts. And
so you were waking up at 4:30 to swim, or what were you doing?
So I went to cycling at 5:15 in the morning, and then our weight training classes, that we'd still do it every year, at school at 7:15, and then after school I would run for like another 30 minutes to an hour, and then I would go to swim practice from 4:30 to 7:30 at the place I swim at, and I did it almost every day.
Wow.
So I came out to probably 6 hours a day.
That's beast mode,
5-6 days a week for a couple of years.
And when you were swimming too, that's kind of how you originally got into triathlons, right? Because you were a swimmer.
I was a swimmer, and then I...
what possessed you to do this to your body? What possessed you to start triathlons?
Dude, I don't know. Actually, it was a neighborhood 10K, and I think I was like 14 or 15 at the time, and I ran like a 36-minute 10K at like 15 years old, and I was like, all right, maybe I should start just doing this. Joined the cross-country team and kind of just started doing triathlons and did really well.
That's awesome, dude.
Which was great.
I feel like having that swimming background probably put you ahead of a lot of people because I feel like a lot of people get into triathlons from the other way, like they're bikers first, and then they maybe get into running, or maybe they get into running, then biking, then swimming. But I feel like since you started with swimming, and swimming's always the first, like, the first thing of the race, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like you were probably able to get way far ahead of a lot of people from the get-go, and then just kind of carry that momentum, probably.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's definitely what it was.
That's awesome.
So that was a really cool aspect about it.
That's super cool. And you were, like, also ranked pretty high in state for swimming too, weren't you?
Yeah, I was doing well in swimming. I kind of backed off a little bit near the end
because you got more into triathlons.
Because I wasn't swimming as much.
Yeah.
But then, was I third place, I guess, overall. First place in my age
Gwinnett
group.
County, the county that we live in, is like, I think the second most competitive county in the whole country.
It's the second largest for this is for summer swimming. I think it's the second largest summer
swim league. The other one's like in Florida or California, I don't know, but that also means it's the most competitive and has like the best times. Like basically the best swimmers in the nation.
Well, Georgia
come out.
UGA swimming. Got some friends on that team. I don't know if they might have won. They're gonna hate me for not knowing, but they were definitely up there. If they didn't win, they were second, but they were up there for
so basically my point
collegiate swimming.
Basically, my point was that you were not only just really top in the state, but you were also top in like one of the top counties in the top areas in the whole country for swimming.
Yeah,
which is pretty
I guess
crazy.
You could say that.
I mean, yeah, but that's really impressive. That's crazy.
Thank you.
So kind of to move on, you said you kind of took a little bit of time off senior year because you wanted to just hang out and like hang out.
Party hardy. Just have some good times, you know.
And you when did you get accepted to LSU?
So I got accepted to LSU kind of around that same time. And so I just...
Nice. And was that your first choice? Or
It was the only school I applied to.
Wow. What made you want to go to LSU?
Louisiana is just such a different culture. Like I was just looking up different places to go to college, and Louisiana is just like, I love it. Like I really, if any of y'all haven't visited Louisiana before, Mardi Gras is great, but don't go during Mardi Gras. Louisiana is...
It's got its own weird little strange culture.
It's its own thing. You know, it's not America, it's not Europe, it's Louisiana, it's Cajun, you know.
Yeah, it's Cajun.
It's
Where
one
does
of the
the word
places.
Cajun even come from?
French Creole.
Okay.
Yeah,
what is that exactly?
So Creole, so it's people came over from France, and then from French. So they came over from France, and then there's also people from I believe Spain, and then also down in the Caribbean. So kind of that mix, because New Orleans was a big port. The whole Louisiana Purchase, you know, because the French owned it.
Louisiana, yeah.
Yeah, on that whole area.
So the French owned it. So there's, even when we bought it, there's still a lot of French people there.
Yeah, there still are today. A lot of people still speak at least some French over there. Or, for example, when we say "Go Tigers," it's not G-O, it's G-E-A-U-X. Tigers. Yeah. Go Tigers. Some last names. Boudreaux is one. B-E-A-U-D-R-E-A-U-X.
It's funny because I actually know a kid that went to LSU with the last name Boudreaux.
Because they're all named Boudreaux.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
So, but
that's so funny, dude.
That's really funny. So yeah, there's it's just a crazy, awesome culture, and I wanted like a fun, authentic college experience.
Nice.
And
the
LSU.
Traditional SEC.
Exactly.
And for those who don't know, I mean, pretty much everyone who's listening to this will probably know what the SEC is, but basically, the SEC is the Southeastern Conference as far as like athletics go.
Yeah.
For schools.
D1.
And in America, football, basketball, you know, basically football really is like a religion. And if you know, are a fan of an SEC school, like you're diehard fans. Like professional football is whatever, SEC schools and following SEC football is like the thing.
Yeah, it's a religion.
It really is a religion. So you went to LSU. What was that like? Did you know anybody?
I knew, let's see, trying to think, and I knew
zero
people.
You knew zero people?
Zero people. I moved into my dorm, didn't know my roommate.
Wow.
We became friends.
That's cool. Some people
I just went there, and I just wanted to try something. I'm really big, and I think, I'm going to be in school forever, and I like school, and I like learning, and I didn't like high school. I wasn't really too into school until it was more of what I wanted to study, and like the teachers took an interest in you personally, And so this is more advanced schooling. So junior, senior year of college, my master's, my doctorate, I'm really into this. Like that's what I enjoy this studying. But I think it's just as important to be cultured.
Definitely.
So
it's one of the best teachers traveling.
It really is. You meet a lot of great people.
Yeah, so that's really cool because I think a lot of people would be very, very intimidated by going to a whole new school, a whole new college where they don't know anybody. But like we said, you're kind of used to that a little bit with going from Notre Dame to Norcross.
Exactly.
You're kind of just like, all right, guys, it was fun. It was a fun ride, everybody at Norcross, but I'm piecing the fuck out and I'm going somewhere completely new where I know nobody.
Super true.
That's really cool, actually. Very admirable. You know, lots of people would be kind of afraid to do that.
Yeah, thank you. So, it was great, but just after a few short months, I got into this accident because I picked up triathlons again, and
yeah. So let's
that was life changing. That's kind of how I got to where I am today, and kind of I guess the whole point of
yeah. And I wanted to have you on the podcast too to share this story because this is like really crazy. So basically, set the stage for us. So you're a freshman at LSU.
I'm a freshman.
You just like started pledging a fraternity.
I did. I was having a damn good time.
And basically just partying, having a good time. But you just started picking up triathlons because you're kind of...
I missed it. I wanted to get back into it. I knew it wasn't going to be a forever thing, getting away from it.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to take some time off, actually enjoy where I was from, hang out with my high school friends. And I was at this new place, but I wanted to do something to stay healthy and to stay fit, and triathlons was a perfect fit. But I'm 18 years old, right out of the car. I knew 0 people. I didn't know where to go biking. I didn't know where not to go biking.
So you just got on your bike and would just ride around and just try to figure out cool spots
and normally I would ride, so LSU's right on the Mississippi River. I would ride along the Mississippi River on a road called River Road. And so fast forward, long story short, I'm on a bike ride. This is in October, so I'm there for about 2 months at this point. And I was actually in a bike car. I was on the bike and someone else was in a car. And,
so tell me exactly what were you doing and when? I know it all happened in the blink of an eye, but so you were just riding along just like normal along the side of the road?
Just on the side of the road, riding down. And it's a really skinny country back road. And so there's not much of there's definitely the median, or I don't know what you call it, but the side road sort of thing that you ride on when you're on your bike. So I always stay because I've been an avid biker for my whole life, and I know to stay
out of the lane.
Out of the lane.
Because people hate cyclists.
When they're, if there's 10 people, then okay, that's fine. But when it's one person, just stay on the side. And so that's what I was doing. And people down there just drive massive trucks and skinny road, biker, big truck. That's kind of just how it went down, just kind of like a side swipe.
So the truck was just driving, and from what you've kind of told me before, it kind of created a vacuum almost, it was driving, it kind of sucked you into it with the way that it was going, or how did it all happen? He kind of just hit you, or?
I think it was more of just like a side swipe because you're kind of your hands are out, and
So did he hit your handlebars?
Yeah. So my left hand was, because I'm riding down the road, so my left is kind of it's not in the road, it's still on that median. But those trucks have the big mirrors, and it was that part that
gotcha. They clipped you.
From what I can remember, because when something's coming up from behind you don't really see anything.
But it wasn't a typical side swipe where you got bumped off and maybe got a little shaken up or whatever, and you fell off your bike. So tell us exactly how did you fall and where did the truck? I mean, the truck ran over you. How did that exactly go down? What happened?
So the truck, it didn't actually run over me. It hit me from the side.
Okay, gotcha.
And basically, I'm on the ground, and I don't have much recollection, just because when you're in a trauma, your brain, you naturally try to just ignore what's going on. And so I remember just trying to get back up on my bike and keep riding, and they're like, "Hey, no, you've been in an accident."
So the truck stopped?
Yeah. So the truck was stopped, and everything's really hazy. I get to the hospital. I remember being in a bed, going in and out, and then I kind of just remember talking to the nurse, but it's really spacey for the first couple hours. Next thing I know, the nurse says, "Hey, you've been in an accident," and my left hand was just completely deformed.
How did it get sort of formed? Did the car run over it?
From the impact of the truck. I don't know how fast they're going, but it was at least.
So your left hand got hit by the truck as it was going so fast that it just completely.
It was a crush injury. So my fourth and fifth metacarpal, which are my knuckles, I don't really have anymore. So it basically, if you take Smarties and step on them, they're going to turn to dust, right? Same thing happened with the bones in my hand. It's turned to dust. And I didn't know if I was going to actually be able to use my fingers. I didn't know if I was going to have my fingers anymore going into my first surgery, because I got rushed into an immediate surgery 2 days later because I was in the hospital. And, my parents are not in Louisiana. I don't know anybody. I never know who to call. And so my parents get the call, make the one of my parents flew and the other drove, just because we didn't know how long I was going to be in the hospital. So if they both flew, we wouldn't have a car, and if they both drove,
it would have taken too long.
It just would have taken too long. So then I'm sitting there. I don't remember if it was my mom or my dad, because I really don't remember much of this. But I'm sitting there, and they're saying, like, okay, everything's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. I had my first surgery. Most excruciating pain I can't really convey how much it hurt.
So on a 10, it was a 10.
It was a 10, because think about how many nerves you have in your hand.
Wow,
and they're squished. Basically, Ooh. It was awful.
Wow.
And I guess
so what were they exactly doing in that surgery? What were they trying to do? Just reconstruct your hand?
I couldn't tell you exactly, but to save my fingers.
So what bones you had left, they were trying to make sense of what was in there and all that kind of stuff. And did they put any metal in your hands?
I do. I don't know how much I have, but I've got some plates and rods and things like that.
Wow. So basically replaced your bones with metal.
I'm Iron Man right here. So the first surgery was just, to keep my fingers, because I had 2 more surgeries after this. And finally get out of the hospital a couple days later. And I believe my dad went back to work. My mom stayed out with me, and I was in a hotel room for like 2 weeks. We stayed in a hotel room in Louisiana for 2 weeks, because one of the things I really try to persevere through things. And I just got to Louisiana. I just started LSU. I just started college. I didn't want to leave. But when you don't have a hand...
this was 2 months into school.
This is 2 months into
school. You just
school.
started making friends. You were pledging a fraternity. And then all of a sudden, everything flashes and you're in a hospital and you had to stop going to class.
Yeah.
Your parents are there. You're in a hotel trying to survive, trying to get through this.
All right, let me ask something, Andrew. Have you ever not had your hand, 100% not had a hand?
No.
Okay. So my favorite food is steak. We go out to, I think it was Fogo de Chao, one of those Brazilian steakhouses where you eat as much steak as you want. And this was, so I'm fast forwarding a little bit, a couple of weeks, but I had to withdraw from LSU just because I couldn't stay in school. I couldn't write anything. I didn't have a hand.
And you're left-handed.
So I'm actually right-handed, but I couldn't type the papers because everything's typed.
Oh, gotcha. That makes sense.
I'm on painkillers. I wasn't allowed to drive. I don't know anybody there. So me and my mom were in a hotel room. So we just found it best that I withdrew from LSU. And so that's what I did. We get home. Obviously, my parents are trying to be comforting. My brothers are being comforting. So we go out to dinner. Steak, favorite thing in the world. We're sitting there. I order all this delicious, succulent-looking steak. If any of you all been to a Brazilian steakhouse, everything's so good.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there. I've got a fork in one hand. How the hell am I supposed to cut the steak? I literally had to give all my food to my mom to cut it. I literally sat in a steakhouse and had my mom cut up all my food. Every morning.
It's embarrassing.
I couldn't tie my shoe. How do you tie a shoe with one hand?
That's true.
So it was just, there's a lot of struggles.
You got to get some Velcro shoes, bro.
I should have. The little light up ones.
Get some grandpa shoes or some light up ones, bro.
Yeah.
Get some Yeezys. You don't have to tie them.
Oh yeah, I could be classy like that. So I went through. It was rough. I went through a lot of physical therapy.
Yeah,
6 hours a week for, I think it was
6 hours a week.
Close to that, 2-3 hour sessions.
So what kind of stuff were they making you do in physical therapy?
Oh man, it hurt.
I bet just kind of opening and closing and squeezing
just trying to be able to use my hand. I wasn't able to move my fingers even after the surgeries.
And were you able to move, rotate your arm either?
I was. It was more my hand.
It was more your hand. Okay.
And you can still see a little bit
your fingers are a little bit crooked.
Mm-hmm. And so Yeah, I didn't know how much I was going to be able to use it. You know, they said just be able to work as much as you can. If you can get anything, that's great. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just lucky to have my fingers. I'm lucky to be alive. Like, it was a legitimate near-death experience.
How, so for someone that's saying, okay, it was just your hand that got hit, like, how would that have caused, like, death? You know what I mean? Like, what was the situation where it could have been near death? Well, obviously, the car could have actually hit you more.
So if the car was a couple inches over, it would have legitimately just run me over instead of hitting my hand. So my hand was out and I was getting ready to make a turn.
Oh.
So my hand.
So your hand was out because you were signaling to turn.
So yeah, my hand's sticking out, and that's where the impact was. And that threw me off. But when you've got a truck going 60, 70 miles an hour.
And it could have thrown you right under the tire almost.
Yeah. And so the thing that didn't happen, which on most roads do happen, you have one car, but then behind that car there's another car. This road, people go 60, 70 miles an hour. If I was thrown into the road and then there was another car behind that car, I would have been run over.
Totally.
And it was about 7 in the morning, so people were starting to head to work.
Oh, wow. So it was super early. Was it still kind of dark?
It was pretty dark out still.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was really lucky that car, or there wasn't a car behind that car, and I was really lucky that the car that I was in the impact with wasn't further over than it was.
Yeah.
So it was just all a really scary and rough experience. And the wind, if you ever stand next to a car when it's going by really fast, the wind throws you down.
Yeah.
With extreme intensity.
Especially a big giant truck like that.
Yeah.
So, have you ever had any, I know you've had some kind of bad experiences in bikes before with traffic and stuff. Like, didn't one time you get like thrown into a ditch kind of or something like that too?
Yeah, I did. That was, I was in 10th grade when that happened.
I remember that because you came to school with a cast.
Yeah. I've had every limb broken.
Wow.
On my body. One time I had 3.
I feel like such a bitch. I've never had a single bone broken.
I had 3 limbs broken at once.
Wow, what happened
boots.
there?
So what happened first? I think it was the bike accident where I was in my air bars, which is, again, it's kind of where
the ones that are vertical.
Yeah,
the
vertical.
Forearms are resting and you have your hands vertical.
Yeah, so I got cut off, and there's no brakes, but I was actually cut off by a car, and so in order not to hit,
there's no brakes when you're in that mode. You're saying?
Yeah. And so in order to avoid the car, I swerved, turned, hit the sidewalk. On the other side was a ravine. And so I flew over and hit my head on there was like a little cement semicircle area to like carry water. So I was in the hospital then, but I broke my right hand and my right wrist. I had a concussion. So yeah, that happened. And then my hand was busted, but I could still run. So I was doing cross country, ended up getting a stress fracture. Because again, my background is not running, but I was on varsity running, 10 miles a day. I had a really, really intense stress fracture where I couldn't even stand on it at one point. So I had a full boot. And, but that still didn't work, leave me from kind of just like hanging out in the gym. Like I couldn't lift anything because my right hand's in a cast at this point. My leg is in a boot, but I was still, there with my team. And so I'm going to pass this one guy a 25-pound weight to put on the bar for the bench, and I thought he had it. He thought I had it. Dropped it. It landed on my left leg, or my left foot, and broke my left foot. So I had 2 boots on and a right cast on.
Dude, I've had that before where, you're thinking you're passing it to somebody and you drop it. Yeah. Or one time I had it where I was pulling weights off of the bench, and I was pulling a 45 off, but there was a 10 that was in front of it, and I forgot that I had the 10 on the bar bench too. So I pulled the 45 off, and the 10 landed right on my big toe. Damn. And luckily it didn't break it or anything. I'm surprised it didn't, but it hurt like a bitch. And everyone, it was really crowded too, and so like everyone in the gym like heard it. Another time that was hilarious, a gym mishap that I definitely have to tell this story. So when you're doing an ab workout and you're doing like sit-ups and you have the medicine ball and someone throws it to you and you like catch it and then you go down and then on your way back up you throw the medicine ball back to the person. Yeah. So it just makes it more intense. And I was doing that with my brother, and we were doing it on a decline ab thingy. So my legs are above me, my head is down below, and my brother's standing up on like a box, and he's throwing the medicine ball to me and basically throwing it like to my face essentially. And I catch it in front of my face, go back, throw it back to him. Catch it in front of my face, put it above my head, go back, throw it back to him. So, I go, okay, one more rep. And that was like when I was like last one or something like that. And I catch it, throw it back to him. He thought I meant one more. So I was so dead, like my abs are like on fire. And I just put my head down and lay back, and he thought I went one more.
Dude.
So he throws the medicine, like tosses it, just like a light lob, because you don't have to throw it far. But he threw the medicine ball up, and he just goes, "Oh!" And it lands right on my face, bro.
Damn.
Luckily, it wasn't a very heavy medicine ball. But dude, I thought my nose was broken at first, because like my nose—that's the first thing that makes impact. You know? Just crushed my face. And luckily it was a pretty squishy one. It wasn't one of the hard like basketball type ones. It was one of the ones that are kind of like sandbags almost. But still, it hurt like a lot.
Dude, that's awful. Good thing you're okay.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny though.
My brother felt so bad. He's like, dude, you can do it to me. And I'm kind of like, dude, that doesn't solve anything.
You can do it to me?
That doesn't solve anything.
Matthew.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like the kind of little kid like brother thing you would do, you know, like you like punch your brother too hard and he like starts crying and like, I'm going to tell mom, and it's like, no, dude, you can punch me back, bro. You can punch me, bro. I'm sorry, bro.
Exactly.
And so it was like that kind of mode, just like went back into him.
Yeah.
You can hit me back. I'm like, that
dude, that's really
help.
funny.
It doesn't help.
Damn.
But anyways, to go back to your story, so you had 2 boots and an arm, so you've been used to being in casts and stuff. But this accident was next level.
This was next level. This was 3 surgeries, 10 months of physical therapy, withdrawal from college.
So this not only like set you back a year, but also like you probably couldn't really get a refund for your time at LSU. Like how much could you get back?
To be honest, I don't really know about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I was fortunate enough, my parents kind of took care of all of that.
Yeah.
But so I really know nothing about that. But thankfully,
but
still, like, it was a semester gone. But I started back up.
Yeah, because time, like, you can get the money back, but you can't get the time back. Mm-mm. And you can't get your hand back.
But honestly, I learned some like really, really, really great experience, life experience from that. And so I think that's one of the reasons we wanted me to talk today. It's kind of this and this still like kind of setting up.
Bouncing back from a huge injury.
Yeah, so it all started like, I'm not going to say the new me, not the new Atlanta, new ATL. But, like, I just didn't really care about school, all the way from 9th grade. Then college, I was like, all right, beer, girls, football, where am I going? Looked at a bunch of places. LSU's where it's at. And so I went there. LSU is a great school academically as well. Like, I mean, I got into Harvard with having a degree from LSU. LSU has some top-notch scientists, top-notch programs. Like, it is a excellent university to go to. But that's just not one of the reasons I was really looking, to be honest. Went back to LSU, and now this is the second semester technically it's my first semester, but it's in January, so it's like second semester. But I'm now a semester behind everybody. And I enrolled in all my classes, and I made a 2.0 for the semester. Wow. 2.0, because I was still going out. I was using the excuse, my hands fucked up, Yeah,
like my hands fucked up. I can't
study. Like I was still going to physical therapy, and that took a lot, which is I would account that for most of the reason I did so poorly was because I was so focused on my hand, because I really wanted to regain function, because I couldn't use it. My brain, the signaling from my brain to my hand was like not there. Huh. And so
even though they kind of fixed it, you're still kind of learning again how to use your hand.
Exactly. So my main priority was that, and then I was still young. I'm still, I guess 17, 18, however old you are freshman year.
Yeah, 18 or 19.
And 18, 19. And there's still, it's spring, so there's no football games, but just college life. And I mean, it's only my first semester now because I left so early. So it was difficult getting back in the swing of things. Made a 2.0. I get home. My parents said, like, you better stop. Like, I know your hand is bad. I know, it's a new school, a new state, everything like that. But, just start getting your shit done. Like, even though, like, you have all this going on with your hand, you need to be able to, like, you have to do that and this. Otherwise, we're not going to pay all this money for you to go to school in Louisiana. Yeah. You can go to school here.
You can party here.
You can party here. You can go to physical therapy here. I was like, no. Like, I want to do this. From then on, I made a...
What was your major?
My major, so the degree is coastal environmental science, because I really was into the environment.
You wanted to be a marine biologist?
I wanted to be, not a marine, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but
something involving that.
Okay, I knew I wanted to live by the beach. And if I was a coastal environmental science major, the coast is the beach.
Yeah.
So I knew I was going to do that. But I didn't have a ton of aspiration, to like keep going to school or anything like that. And
it was just party.
It was party.
I
tried to do well.
And to be fair, I think that, to be completely honest, I think that that's kind of the mentality that most college kids kind of have.
Yeah, people do. It really is.
Going to an SEC school, I went to college for 1 year and then just kind of because of circumstances and, wanting to pursue other things, I decided to drop out. But I was going to a fairly small school, Georgia College. So, there was definitely that party lifestyle, but nothing to the extent of an SEC school in, like LSU. Obviously, you're partying on a whole different level, especially like the fraternity stuff and like all that kind of deal. And like, having the football team that's really good. There's just a different level of the party lifestyle there.
Yeah.
I think that especially our generation of parents, like our parents, don't fully understand the level of partying that happens, because even though, yes, there was tons of partying when they were in college, I think that, college, it's so expensive now. So like you're literally living in sometimes like luxury dorms or luxury mansions
they're luxury.
Like literally luxury things. Like there's pool parties at these magnificent pools. You've got literally like if you're in a fraternity, sometimes you're literally living in a mansion with your friends.
Yeah, and you get people to cook for you and clean for you.
Chef, like literally, you have someone that does all this shit for you.
Yeah.
You have pledges that are essentially your slaves, kind of, that like will do your bidding because they're trying to get into the fraternity. So they're trying to kind of pay their dues to get in, and so they'll drive you around. They'll clean for you. You can make them basically kind of do whatever. So it's like, I think a lot of the mentality of college students these days has nothing to do with their studies. Yeah, and everything to do with the lifestyle.
It's difficult to grow up, for sure. And it was when I went back, so that first semester back in the spring, did not do well at all. And mixture of my hand was the main thing, but also because it was 10 months of physical therapy. This happened in October, so I went to physical therapy till, I don't know, almost the end of that semester. And and during that semester, I still had 2 more surgeries. So I had to come home to Atlanta. And
so you did the surgeries in Atlanta?
Yeah. So the rehab for the surgeries were each like on their own. That's why my physical therapy kept going, because I had such a long initial physical therapy time frame just to like be able to use my hand again.
And wasn't there like some crazy legal stuff too? Like you're in a lawsuit with the driver, and they're like the Louisiana laws are like really not very protecting of cyclists or something like that. I think I remember you talking about that.
I don't really like remember all that stuff too well.
I remember when you were telling me initially, like the laws for cycling in Georgia are different than the laws for cycling in Louisiana. So like for a little bit, like it was kind of a toss up of what was going to happen like legally with the accident and everything. I don't know. But yeah, and I know you might not be able to even talk about it because it's like legal stuff. But so in the middle of you trying to get your shit together with school, you're also having to come back for surgeries. You're dealing with the legal ramifications of this whole thing. And
I was dealing with all of those
all things. That stuff. And then on top of that, you were half-assing school, so you were getting bad grades.
Yeah. So on top of that, trying to be a student was really difficult.
Yeah, that was like third priority.
Yeah. Well, so my first semester it was, then second semester it wasn't. So the first semester that
was when you came home and kind of were like, okay, I got to take shit more seriously.
Yeah, so I came home. I was like, I got to take shit more seriously. But that was the fall semester. Came back in the spring, and I was like, okay, I got a second chance. I need to do better this semester. But having that accident was just so tough to like do well in school. It's hard to balance all of that stuff. So that summer, I like really had to get my act together and be like, okay, I got to get my hand working first off. And finally I got done with the physical therapy and the 3 surgeries. And then when I went back that next fall, I did really, really well. Nice. I was like, okay, I made 1 B. And for me, that at the time, if I made a B, like just 1 B, I was like, all right, sweet. maybe I can do this. So that was really uplifting. And that was kind of the start of like, okay, everything happens for a reason. I'm really big into believing everything happens for a reason. And you might know where the finish line is, but you don't actually know where the finish line is. There's roadblocks, things happen, things change. And from then on, I've kind of just been like, I don't know, just trying to move forward, you know? Definitely, not saying like changed as a person, but like,
yeah, but you changed.
Yeah, okay. I definitely changed.
Yeah.
And but change for the better.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
And it's never too late.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people, you know, they're like, bro, never change, bro, you're cool. And my philosophy is like, don't change as in change who you are. But like for me, I've definitely changed a lot, like since freshman year of college for sure. Like, and not in a bad way, definitely in a good way. But I like the expression like, be yourself, but be your best self. Be the best version of yourself. Like constantly trying to elevate yourself.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, shedding bad habits or kind of putting away things that you were doing in the past. That's good, because that's like an upgrade. You know, you're like leveling up essentially.
Yeah, very true.
And then you get to prestige, like in Call of Duty.
Exactly.
You level up and then you prestige.
Like that. Yeah. So I mean, it was awesome seeing that. You don't call it a report card, whatever you call it in college, but seeing my grades for the semester and just having one B, I was like, all right, that's awesome. Like, you know, maybe I can do this. And I was like, okay, well, I'm really interested in medicine now. Never once in a million years thought I would go to medical school or even ascertain it.
It was kind of like the surgery kind of got you in that whole world.
Yeah, so a lot of people that want to go to medical school, you know, they want to do it growing up. They want to do it their whole lives. They know they want to be a doctor, and that is excellent. That's great. That's awesome. I wasn't one of those people. I was a late bloomer. You know, I didn't have perfect score on my SAT. My first semester, that 2.0 is on my, you know, grade report applying to these schools. So it wasn't like I was a perfect student from the start, but I was like, okay, a 3.75, and I'm interested in medicine. Let's see where this goes. And I just went one semester after the next. I kind of took all the different opportunities I could. I got involved in a ton of different organizations.
Is this when you became the mascot?
Yeah, this was when I became the mascot. So I was the mascot at LSU, that was an unbelievable experience. That was cool.
So for people who don't know, so basically like every college football team has a mascot, and LSU is the Tigers. And so there's a guy in a suit, Mike the Tiger, and he is like beloved by everybody.
Oh yeah.
Everyone loves Mike the Tiger. So it's kind of big shoes to fill for you to be able to like be Mike the Tiger, you know? Dude, you got to be awesome.
It was awesome representing LSU because I love LSU.
Yeah.
Heart goes out to them, but it was one of the coolest, if not the greatest experience. And I actually got to do it with my brother, who ended up coming out to LSU as well.
Nice.
And so
following
me and him,
in the footsteps.
Yeah, because there's a couple people, you know, that get in the suit. And so he's one of them as well.
So like how many different Mike the Tigers were there at any given time?
No more than 4.
Okay.
So it kind of just because it gets so hot, it adds like 30 degrees in the suit.
Wow.
So
if it was really hot out, it would be like 120 degrees maybe in the suit or more.
So it just gets extremely hot. So you just got to keep rotating, you know, so that way it's looking fresh.
So like on the game day, you would be working for how long and then switch out?
About an hour, but you do I would be in an hour 2, maybe 3 times. So
and you're not just
hours.
Like walking around, you're like dancing and like being really active. So it gets like real sweaty. How stinky was that outfit?
Man, it is. It's like sticking your nose in a sock after you worked out. Like legitimately, that's what it is. It's sweating inside of like an enclosed, capsulated.
So disgusting.
Thing. Yeah.
So gross.
But
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So basically, how did you even get involved in that? Like, how does one become Mike the Tiger?
So saw a flyer, and I was like, no shit, tryouts to be the mascot, because they were having tryouts. Me and my brother showed up, and they were only taking a few people. And I don't know if I can or cannot, so I'm not going to go into the details about how the procedure works in case you can't go into it.
Yeah.
But basically there's a tryout, and me and my brother both got it, and we both did it for the next 2 years, which was awesome.
That's really cool. So you did it for the rest of your college experience.
So I did that.
There?
I ended up working in the ER, which was an unbelievable experience.
So what were you doing in the ER?
In the ER, which was the same ER that I was actually hit by. And this is something that is awesome.
So like when you got hit, you went to that ER?
Yeah, it's the main emergency room in Baton Rouge, if not Louisiana. And so I go to turn in my application, and again, just like getting into medical school, this job is extremely difficult to get. Like, not many people get it, just because everybody wants to be, quote unquote, a doctor, right? One of the things to do to help you and to gain experience is this job, but they only need so many people, you know. But when you're in a college town, there's thousands of people that want it. I go in and I meet the guy that's my boss. Well, not currently because I don't work there anymore.
But he what? But he could have been your boss at the time. Yeah.
At the time. And he recognized me, and I had no idea what he's talking about. He's like, "Hey, have you come in here before?" I was like, "No, sir. This is my first time. I'm just now applying." He's like, "I've seen you before. You've come in here, haven't you? You didn't apply?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Wait, just give me a second." He's like, "No shit. Were you in a bike accident?" I was like 3 years ago? He said, "Yeah, about 3 years ago, at like 7 o'clock in the morning." I was like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "I was the one scribing your chart." I was like, "No shit." And we just kind of started talking, and
that's crazy.
I ended up getting the job of being a scribe, which is you basically go in with the mid-level, so nurse practitioner or the physician assistant, and you just chart basically what's wrong with the patient. You know, you don't do any physical stuff, but everything that's wrong with them, then you put that in the computer. Are you the one
that's kind of like talking with them too, if they're coherent? Like, are you kind of like interacting with the patients?
So I do all of that. You know, nice. I ask them all the questions, what happened, history, everything of that nature. And,
are people typically kind of pissed or like down, or are they pretty like typically happy about? They're not happy, but like upbeat.
It really depends. I'd say it's 50-50, depending on what they're there for, you know?
Yeah. Because since it's in Baton Rouge, like LSU, do you get a lot of like drunk people that end up having to come to the hospital?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of everything. Like,
I'm sure.
Like, some crazy things.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So, because it was a Trauma 1 center, which might have been, I wasn't a Trauma 1, but that's the most intense level. So, that, you know, there's gunshot wounds, stabbings, you name it. Helicopters would come in.
I mean, if you can tell some stories, like what were some of like the craziest things you saw?
I can't like get into details about anything, but
yeah, I know you can't like share like names and like stuff like that, but like what was like some of the craziest like injuries?
Saw someone shot in the dick with a shotgun. How's that?
That's amazing. And I'm assuming he did not shoot himself in the dick.
He said he shot himself in the dick.
He shot himself
in the cock. But there was no way in hell that's what it was. Because a shotgun, right? The spray sprays out. It's long, so the spray would spray out. But when it's that close to you, like, you know, the spray wouldn't be that far. But the spray was like both of his thighs.
So was his whole dick just like demolished?
Like spaghetti.
Ooh.
And so we're like, I'm trying to find out because my job is, you know, I'm like, so what happened? Like, what's going on? Like, does it hurt anywhere specifically? And he kept saying that he shot himself. I was like, all right, you don't have to be the brightest person to look at his hands and to know that his hands were shot. He must have been sleeping with the wrong person. Said, "Oh shit," covered his dick. Boom, shot.
So you think someone took a gun or like he was sleeping with the wrong person and someone shot him?
I'm not explicitly saying that, but
that's what
observing,
happened.
It looked something like that.
So his hands were also shot by the spray. Did he have shrapnel like all in his legs and stuff?
Yeah, like little pellets.
Ooh, man.
So must have hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I've seen a lot more serious things than
Yeah, because when I was younger, I didn't realize that shotguns were like what it is like it's essentially shooting a spray of pellets at you.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And so like that's why they're so good at close range, because you don't have to have good aim to shoot somebody with a shotgun.
Yeah.
You just have to get them in the general spray zone. Because basically, just imagine a whole bunch of tiny BBs flying out of this gun. And so basically he just got, how far away do you think he was shot from? Like depending on the spray size.
I have no idea. It was both
pretty close range though, probably.
Thigh to thigh.
Oh yeah, because like, wow, that's insane, dude.
So yeah, it was wild. So
what ended up? Did he live? I mean, was he like bleeding like crazy?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't stay with him, but I'm sure he did. But I'm not gonna say, like, I'm not gonna speak.
Put on the record
anything.
Yeah. And obviously, no one knows who this is and all that. But
yeah. But
unless you know someone in Baton Rouge who got shot in the dick, you probably know exactly who this is.
Yeah. Or if you did it.
That's very true.
But yeah, so there's that, and then.
Dude, I heard this story of a lady that while they were driving, this lady chopped off her boyfriend's dick and threw it out the window.
What?
Yeah.
How?
Dude, she found out he was cheating and just waited until they were driving, and he was driving, like, he couldn't really do much because he had his hands on the, like, you know, you can't just immediately stop driving. If you're on, like, the highway, you gotta, like, pull over.
That's, like, suicide for her.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. So she, like, pulled out a freaking, no, I think what happened, too, was she was, like, sucking his dick. Because, like, she was, like, trying to get it out without, because obviously it'd be pretty hard to just all of a sudden just get it out and cut it off. So I think she, like, had an excuse to, like, get it out, and then, like, took a knife out and just freaking chopped his little winky off and chucked it out the window. Like,
imagine being the person next to them and gets it, like, thrown onto their windshield.
I could be wrong about this story, but I heard about one time there was a story like this. It could be the same story. It could be unrelated, but the girl chopped it off. They were able to recover it and get it back on because she just chopped it off. So she, in his sleep, cut his dick off again and put it in the blender.
No. Where did you see this?
It's messed up. I heard about this story. It could be false. Allegedly, this all happened.
What?
But I heard about this crazy story. And I think it was because it was on some TV show, and, like, Ozzy Osbourne's wife, it was, like, on The View or something, and Ozzy Osbourne's wife was, like, cracking up laughing, and all these men were just, like, appalled. Like, dude, imagine if the story was reversed and you chopped off a vagina and threw it in a blender. Like, girls would be, like, no woman would be laughing at this. It'd be the most horrific story. But since it's reversed, like, it's ha ha ha, his little wiener was chopped off and thrown in a blender.
What?
Like, she was, like, literally laughing about this dude getting his dick thrown into a blender on national television.
Jeez, that's ridiculous. I've not heard that one.
Yeah, but you never heard that story at the ER?
No.
Never tried to recover a blended up dick?
I have not had that one.
So basically at the ER, you said, you know, you're writing, you're a scribe, so you're kind of, like, observing and writing down what's happening with the patient and stuff like that?
Yeah. And then I go and I chart it all. And so that way the physician can see and have everything documented.
So I've had this kind of explained to me a couple of times, but I actually was in the emergency room, like, a couple of years ago because I got really drunk and I passed out and blacked out at a concert. And then the next thing I knew, basically what the backstory was is I showed up to this pregame where we were all going to drink before going out to the concert. And I had to work really late. I worked until, I think, like 11 that night. And I hadn't really had much to eat. And
like the other week when you worked till 11.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like, I worked really late. And then my friend was like, yo, come down to this pregame. We're just going to drink until we leave. And so when I got there, they were like, okay, we're going to leave in 5 minutes. So my mentality was, I'm not going to track how much I'm drinking. I'm just going to drink until we leave. That was my mentality. And so, needless to say, it took much longer than 5 minutes. And so I just kept, like, drinking. And I was basically just, like, taking pulls of, like, liquor. Like, I was just, like, drinking hard liquor on pretty much an empty stomach. And I was just trying to play catch up. Like, everyone was already kind of drunk, so I was like, I need to get, you know.
Bruh.
And it was
go to college in the SEC. You belong there, bruh.
I know, right? But that's basically what I was doing. And I barely remember even getting to the concert, but apparently when I got there, I kind of just lost my friends. And I had some other friends who were going too, so they were just like, oh, Andrew probably met up with his other friends. You know, we're not going to worry about him. And so what I heard happened essentially was I passed out in the middle of the crowd and I got escorted in an ambulance and woke up the next morning in Grady Hospital.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Glad you're okay.
Yeah, it was gnarly. And you know what the craziest part was so I woke up and I was really out of it and stuff, and I was still drunk. And, you know, I woke up to the nurse kind of like talking, like not the person, like I'm assuming kind of like what you were doing,
yeah,
talking and saying like, oh, we picked him up at this rave. He's probably, we're suspecting that he was on drugs. And that was like right when I woke up and I was like, I wasn't on drugs, I just drank. I don't do that shit or something like that. And they were like, all right, apparently he didn't do drugs. She was like writing down the stuff.
That's funny.
She was a really nice girl. And I was just like so mad that I was there. I was so pissed. I was so mad at myself. I was like, this is going to be super expensive kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like I was like, this is so annoying. My parents are going to kill me. I've got to work today. Like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And basically I was so pissed, and I like ripped the IV out of my arm because I was so mad. There's like an IV in my arm, so my arm is bleeding. The nurse comes in, and is like, "Oh, nice, you ripped that out, didn't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And, like, I was just so mad.
That's funny.
She puts like a towel over it and like, helps me. And I eventually called my dad, and he was able to pick me up from the hospital. But anyways, the craziest part was, so when I was in the hospital, I had these stickers on my stomach, like these stickers that had little like tabs on them, like metal tabs. And I didn't think anything of it at the time, but when I got home, I like ripped them off my chest, and it hurt like a bitch because I had hair on my chest, and it like ripped all the hair off. And I was just like, oh my gosh, these things. And they had me hooked up with my finger, like my blood, my heart rate and all this stuff like that. And so basically later, I ended up going to work because I was like, this hospital bill is going to be super expensive. I have no idea how much this is going to cost, but I know my parents aren't going to help me because I was being a dumbass. So I was like, I need to go to work. I need to like get back. I can't afford to like take a day off work right now. Like, I need to like go to work. And when I'm at work, I have the realization that, holy shit, those stickers that were on my stomach were from an AED. Like,
EKG, you mean?
Like an automatic external defibrillator.
They're probably from an EKG now.
What's an EKG?
EKG gets your it doesn't defibrillate you. It just gets your
But
heart
the
pattern.
thing that was crazy, so this is how I know that my heart stopped beating, is number one, my chest felt like I got punched like a million times. But the crazier part is my friend that was with me at the concert knew the firefighter that was on duty at the Tabernacle and rode in the ambulance with me to the hospital. And they said that they had to perform CPR on me.
No way.
So my heart literally stopped beating.
That's wild, dude.
And I basically died.
Jeez.
And so don't drink, kids. That's the first time I've ever really like shared this story publicly, but it was really embarrassing, honestly, because I felt like, I was a dumbass, and like,
I'm sure
I did this to myself.
It changed how you look at things, though.
It totally did. It was a near-death experience in the most literal sense. Like, my heart stopped beating, literally. Yeah. And needless to say, I'm a lot more careful, and it was a really bad experience, but it put a lot of things in perspective, and and also like the hospital bill was like so expensive.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
Why is it that the hospital bills are so expensive? I mean, I can understand for something like that, but I've heard where people go to the hospital and like literally just get like a little thing put on their finger to check their heart rate, and like the bill ends up being like thousands of dollars. Like, why is that? I
don't have like an exact answer. It's just maintenance, just to run everything.
So it's just like the cost of you taking up space in this facility.
The cost of you having a bed. It's basically, think about when you're on a plane, if you're taking up that seat.
Makes sense.
That's the most.
What's up, Chandler?
What's up, dude?
What's up, dude? We're recording a podcast right now.
Oh, shoot.
My brother's in on this.
Your brother's in on it. This second, Mike the Tiger.
How's it going? Just cleaning trash cans, trying to make a living,
Nice.
He dropped out of college and he's a custodian.
Made $54 in 10 hours working at Studio Movie Grill. Don't work there.
Just kidding. He's still in college. He just cleans our office.
Nice. Yeah. So just to kind of give some perspective, so we're actually in your dad's company's office, right? Nanolumens.
Yeah.
And so they make some crazy stuff. They
do.
What does Nanolumens do exactly?
So, Nanolumens, he doesn't own the company. He's just been with Nanolumens. He's worked for Nanolumens.
But he's pretty high up in the company, needless to say.
Yeah, he's pretty high up. But
nice.
he's been there since the beginning.
Nice.
But
if you had to describe Nanolumens, like what exactly do they do?
I mean, from what I can see, because I don't know like anything much about it, but they make the big like LED displays,
so
which
is really
cool.
See like giant are they flexible or are they just like curved or what?
I think there's some of both. Like if you go to the Brave Stadium,
some of them are flexible.
The circular baseball.
Oh,
at the Brave
nice.
Stadium.
So basically, it's like the LED screens that are like funky shapes.
The Atlanta airport with the ants on it, the big one.
Oh, nice.
Underneath the Delta sign and the terminal.
That's amazing.
Baggage claim.
So they make giant LED screens for airports, metro terminals, you know.
All around the world.
All around the world. And so that's really crazy. So we're actually in that space right now where Matthew has this little study office, study closet.
I'm pretty fortunate. I get my office in here, you know.
Yeah.
So that's pretty nice because I'm studying for my Mcat right now.
Yeah.
So it's great, but yeah. So college, dude. Somehow I graduated and did really, really well, you know.
Yeah.
And
did you do any traveling like while you were in school?
While I was in school, I went to China twice. Spent a month in Alaska, a month in China, Europe.
Dude, what is China like? I've never been to Asia.
I love it.
I
absolutely love it.
Like, do people speak English? Like, how did you get around? Like, what was it like? Because, you know, going to Europe is one thing because a lot of people speak English. But going to an Asian culture where the writing is completely different, you can't read the signs, like people, it's not even a Latin-based language, so like you can't even, like even knowing basic English or basic Spanish helps you literally zero.
Dude,
what was it like?
It was great. So we actually had a translator the whole time.
Nice.
And who stayed with us because nothing's really, when you go to Shanghai, Beijing, and so Hong Kong was where we went first on the first time I went. So Hong Kong, they speak English there. Hong Kong's a great city. It's really international. But almost everybody there speaks English. All the signs are in English. There are multiple languages. It's just a big international city. Shanghai, almost everything's in English. Say a decent amount of people speak English, and then Beijing, a lot of people speak English. But we went to a lot of other towns where they speak no English. We actually went to this tiny, tiny, tiny little mountain town where Avatar was filmed, and went hiking in the Yellow Mountains where Avatar was filmed. Like,
whoa!
Nobody there speaks English. 0 people. Like, I don't even think they've ever seen a white person.
Did they like look at you funny?
I've had babies put in my laps, and people like I've had a baby put in my lap on the subway. The mom stood back and took a picture, grabbed the baby, and walked away. And that's happened multiple times. Kids come up to me and hug me and take a picture. Like the parents take a picture.
Do they think you're famous or something?
No, they just
like, holy shit, a white person.
Like, I mean, we've been to a lot of cities that don't have international travelers, because we've had someone that speaks Mandarin, and so we've been able to go to all these different places, and you know, they just don't. It's not places that, sure, you go to Beijing or you go to Shanghai, you know, it's normal. But if you go to like the interior or Xi'an, that's a pretty big international city, I'd guess. That's where the Terracotta Warriors are. So I went and saw them, that was cool.
What are the Terracotta Warriors?
They're the underground. It's the underground army from one of the dynasties.
I remember learning about that. So it's like literally tons of statues of warriors. How many are there?
I think there's either 400 statues, and then there's like 1,000 graves. So there's like whatever that is, 40,000.
Wow.
Or 400,000. I mean, or it's the other way around. But either way, it's like thousands and thousands and thousands.
Thousands and thousands of these statues.
They only have one uncovered and like excavated. The rest they have, I believe, from journals. I think I remember them saying. But
so like they've only excavated one?
Well, they only have actually found one. But they have like
one grave site?
Yeah, they have that was an accident how they found it. There was a farmer, and he was burning his crops, and then he actually burned into the ground, which kind of opened up a hole, you know. And this happened, I think it was like the 70s or 80s. But then from there, they've been searching. Maybe they found more, maybe they didn't. I don't think they did. But I think that they've got like books, what the curator was saying, like documenting that other sites, like 1,000 other sites just like this, are spread throughout China. They just haven't found any because they're underground.
It's so crazy to think about how much shit we have no idea about the past.
Yeah. Dude, it's an ancient civilization, and it is awesome.
Because like if it wasn't documented, we wouldn't know.
Yeah.
It's so insane to think about.
It's
so like
so
how
cool.
big of a culture shock was China for you?
Dude, it is wild. It's not like Europe.
You feel like you're in a different planet. You're in a totally different world. And I'm sure it gave you so much perspective, like, holy shit, this place has been around for ancient, like so many years, and exists all in its own deal, and I barely ever think about it.
Yeah. The food they eat is so different. A lot of it's really, really good.
Is Chinese food over there different than like if you go to a Chinese restaurant here? Completely different?
Not even a little bit the same.
Really?
It's completely different food.
That's so funny. So
Chinese food here it's still American food.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing like that over there. It's not even the same.
So yeah, exactly. If you're, it's kind of the same where if you're like, oh, let's go eat Mexican food, you're eating like Tex-Mex or like American Mexican food.
Pretty much.
Like you're thinking like Chipotle or Moe's or something.
Yeah.
If you go to Mexico, you're not eating that kind of stuff on a date. A typical family.
Exactly.
And that was one thing that was interesting. When I went to Spain, like and Italy. Like when I was eating with the families, like I lived with a host family, so I was like in the house with these normal families.
Yeah.
So I was getting to experience life through their lives, and so it was like, oh yes, let's go to an Italian restaurant, and let's get some pasta with cheese sauce, and like it's in Italy, it's like no, that's not it at all. Like yes, we do have our pasta, but we also eat lots of other stuff, and like an Italian restaurant in Italy is completely different than an Italian restaurant in America.
So in Spain, did you ever go to Valencia?
Yes.
Okay, so I stayed south of did you ever go to, better question, did you go to Ibiza?
I did not.
Okay, so I stayed in Denia, right north of Denia, which is how you get to Ibiza, and a little town called Zaraco. It was me and my two college roommates, some of my best friends, and we stayed there in a little villa right on the ocean.
Yeah, dude. I've wanted to go to Ibiza because they always have like the sickest clubs and stuff there.
Yeah, dude. It was great. But what I was gonna ask, did you have paella, like real paella?
Oh yeah.
What'd you think of that? The tapas in Valencia.
Dude, tapas is really cool. I like the idea of having like a bunch of small dishes, and like that was just really fun. You can go to like a tapas bar. Sometimes you just like go get a drink, and they'll just bring you a free tapas.
Yeah.
And there's like a couple places that I went that was really cool. Like basically you just walk up to the bar and there's like a little piece of paper and you just fill out, like they have their menu and you just put a check by all the tapas that you want.
It's like a witch sandwich shop.
Yeah. You just walk up to the bar, hand them the thing, and then they bring you like a bunch of little snacks essentially, but like they're really good, and you basically just kind of have snacks for your whole meal.
Oh yeah.
Which is cool.
And another cool thing something that was awesome about China, everything there is dirt cheap.
Yeah.
But they only have one beer.
They only have one beer?
2 beers. They have Tsingtao, which if any of y'all have had Tsingtao, it's absolute shit. And it's like 3% alcohol. And then it's awful, but that's really all they have. And then some places, if you get lucky, they're going to have Heineken.
Ah, gotcha.
But the craft beer industry has not gone over there yet.
Oh no, not at all.
Mm-mm.
But do people drink a lot over there, or like what do they drink? Sake?
So it's called sake's Japan.
But oh yeah, I feel dumb now.
So when you go out to dinner, like if you go out to like a good dinner, like a nice place, they bring you out. It's called, I think it's rice wine, but like a bottle of it will be like $400 US. So like everything's cheap except for this rice wine. So like if you go out to a good dinner, that's kind of like customary. It's like our champagne, I guess, or whatever. It's like $300-$400 for this, like a fifth. It's like the size of maybe a fifth. I think it's called rice wine, or it's not white wine. It's rice wine or something like that. It tastes awful. It is the worst thing.
It's disgusting.
And it's disgusting. But you go around, and it is the cool. So
they ferment rice?
I don't know if it's rice wine. It's basically liquor. It's a hard liquor.
Because normally when you're fermenting vodka, what do you make it with?
So vodka, well, you don't ferment vodka.
How do you distill vodka?
You distill it from grain.
Okay.
You ferment, so fermentation.
And rice is like a grain kind of.
Yeah, it's a grain because you take the sugars from it.
Gotcha.
Fermentation you're going to use from beer. Well, beer from yeast making. Alcohol from alcohol fermentation.
This is out of my range. I don't know enough.
We won't get into that. That's
the science
all I've really
of
been studying.
making.
Is all that's. I've brewed some beer, some pretty good beer.
Nice.
But what I was gonna say is from traveling. You're very well cultured. I've been to, a good amount of places as well. The coolest thing I've seen anywhere is when you're sitting at these like beautiful, nice dinners. Old-fashioned Chinese, like think of like really nice, like table china, like the really good plates,
like literally
the
China.
Chandeliers, everything's super nice. The whole time, I didn't explain this, but you use lazy Susans, the big circular tables, and you put the food in the middle and it circulates around. You normally have like a big centerpiece of flowers or something. And the entire time, and dinner's their last couple hours, because they just keep bringing out food after food after food, and everybody shares, and you put whatever you want from the center that's spinning on your plate. But the whole time you just have these bottles of this rice wine or white wine or whatever they call it out, and they're not the size of a shot glass. They're maybe a third of the size of a shot glass. And you go around, and however many people are there, they literally walk up to you, like they'll walk around the table and say "Gambe," which means cheers, and then you have to take a shot with them. And
so they're just really tiny shot glasses.
They're really shot, but let's say there's 2 or 3 of them equals 1 shot. You might take 10 of them. You are shit-faced by then. Like you can hardly walk by the end of one of these dinners. You're at this like really beautiful, nice place, you know. So imagine going out to here in the U.S., really nice steakhouse or something, but sitting at a lazy Susan instead of one of those really long rectangular tables. And the whole time during this nice dinner, people are getting up the entire time to come up to you and make a cheers to you personally. And if anybody else wants to join in, they can, but you have, like, it's customary, you have to take that shot. And
why were they doing it? Because you guys were white and like they thought it was cool, or what?
No, like, so we're eating dinner with them. So it's people that we were there with, that we'd be at dinner with. The whole time would just keep coming up to us, and since we're really kind of like the guests, they would just come up and be taking shot after shot after shot. Like,
were you with your brothers too?
My brothers, my parents.
Were they all drunk?
Dude, everything.
Even Preston?
Every lunch, every dinner. My God. It's insane. Like, you think that people in Europe drink a lot? You go to one of these dinners, it is nonstop. I swear to God, it's a shot every minute. It's pretend doing power hour with the shot glass. That's half the size of a shot glass with unlimited liquor.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
And the alcohol tastes like shit.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Dude, it's
so much fun.
This is super gross, but I saw this like Vice documentary a while ago. It was like a couple years ago, so I could be totally getting this wrong. But there's this guy that was making this like drink out of like fermented shit, and he was making it like with rice wine or something.
Really?
And he was supposed to have all these crazy like medicinal qualities. And like there's people, he was like a doctor, and he was making it with human shit.
Oh God. I don't know what would be medicinal in that.
I'll have to look it up, but it was disgusting. But yeah, it was quite an interesting documentary. He prescribed this drink to his patients. But dude, Chinese medicine is quite interesting because it's all preventative rather than like, here, take this pill. It's like holistic, you know, it's like do all these preventative measures so you won't have to take a pill kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So, you know, you said besides China, what other places have you gone to?
So I've spent, a month in China. Then I actually been to the Dominican Republic, but that was more just like a vacation. That wasn't like a true cultural experience. This year alone, I've gone to, I guess in the past 360 days, I've gone to China again, spent the summer in Alaska, and then took a 7-day hike into the mountains, which that was an unbelievable experience. So Alaska was really cool. Didn't run into the Alaskan bush people.
That's good.
That was a good thing.
Or the Alaskan bullworm.
Huh?
Or the Alaskan bullworm from SpongeBob.
Oh God, I remember that thing. Nope, I did not run into that guy. But the Abominable Snowman, I ran into him.
Nice.
Oh yeah. So went there for the summer, did some studying there, which was cool. And then spent some time out west snowboarding, went to Park City for a while. Then went to Vail and Beaver Creek, just a bunch of places, you know, in Colorado, did some snowboarding. Then went to Mardi Gras.
In Louisiana. Didn't you go to Amsterdam too?
Amsterdam's cool.
Dude, I love Amsterdam. Amsterdam is probably my favorite city.
Amsterdam's great,
been to. Amsterdam, like, it's the most liberal city ever because, like, basically everything is legal. Mm-hmm. It's like, yo, you want to do something? Cool, we won't stop you.
Don't take a picture in the red light district.
Yeah, you cannot take a picture in the red light district. That's true.
I did that. And,
you did it?
I didn't know we weren't allowed to.
So you're just taking pictures of some titties?
Dude, they were banging on the door. I was freaking out. I thought I was going to get like jumped by the bouncer people.
Honestly, it's kind of creepy if they get mad at you because it's like it almost remember like in Toy Story when they're walking down the aisles and all the Barbie dolls are in the plastic.
They look like plastic dolls.
They all look
it's
like
the creepiest thing.
So for people who have no idea what we're talking about, so the red light district is basically this long canal, because Amsterdam is built on canals.
It's literally the canal, like water.
It's literally water. So you have to get to the other side of the street, you have to cross over a bridge. It's not like Venice where the whole city is underwater basically, but there's a lot of canals and you have to go over a lot of bridges, and everyone rides bikes.
And
bikes are the best way.
And a side note, did you notice how there was no like border between the street and the canals? Like you could just ride your car into the canal. Like they parallel park on the side of the canal. Like if they were a foot over, they'd tip into the water. There's no barrier blockade. You just drive straight into
You could just drive straight into the water.
Yeah. But anyways,
in America that would never happen.
No.
Yeah.
But anyways, what were you talking about with
it's interesting because America's such a new country that we have to like set those types of boundaries, you know, because like we're a country of immigrants, so we have to like set weird boundaries. But all the Dutch people, like they just know, like, don't drive your car into the river, you dumbass. Like we don't have to set up a bunch of barriers and waste a lot of money. Like you just know, like don't fucking drive your car into the river. Don't be stupid. But anyways, so the red light district, it's on a canal, and since prostitution is legal in Amsterdam, there's this whole area that's basically set up to be a walking, almost like I was saying, like in Toy Story, like when they walk down the aisle and there's all these Barbie dolls like behind the plastic. It's almost like that. Like there's literally glass windows. All the windows are glass, but they're also doors. And there's these prostitutes that are standing there basically naked. And if you want to sleep with one of them, you walk up to them, you negotiate the price, and then you walk in through the door and you do whatever you paid for.
Yeah.
So if you pay for full-on sex, you get that. If you pay for a blowjob, you get that. If you pay for a lap dance, you get that. Or whatever you end up paying for, that's what you get.
Yeah, it was like walking down
no
a
more,
mall.
no less. And it's very, very, that's the interesting thing is like when you think of prostitution in America, it's really shady. There's no regulations. Typically, you know, you're finding this girl at a very sketchy area. Typically, she's not in the best social
Are you a regular?
standing. I'm not a regular, but I'm just saying like the stereotypes of it. But the crazy thing is there's a lot of laws around prostitution in Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. So like, it's highly regulated.
Yeah, dude, it's so
regulated. You have to have a
regulated.
license. Like
they get tested a lot.
They get tested to make sure that it's safe, which I think is a great idea. Obviously, you know, they want to make it safe for the people that are the customers and also for the girls. Whether or not it's a great profession to be in, I would think it's probably pretty demoralizing and demeaning to be a prostitute. But, you know, I would much rather have it be regulated and legalized than if a girl's going to make money that way anyways. You know, there's going to be prostitution anyways. I think that legalizing it is a much better option than just pretending it doesn't happen and criminalizing prostitutes.
Yeah, it was definitely a culture shock just walking down the road, you know?
So you're literally just walking down this road and everything is basically, back in the day, I think the reason why it was a red light district is because having a red light in the window signified that there was prostitutes inside. There was like a whorehouse.
They still do that. It's still how it is. It's a green or red light. Because I did this little tour thing where they talked about that. So
That's cool.
You're exactly right.
So basically, like, this whole street is just, at night, all the lights are just red. So it's also kind of like devilish almost. Like you're walking down, you almost feel like kind of like sketchy.
I thought it was like Christmas. Green and red lights everywhere.
Green and red lights, that's true, because the green signifies that they're being used, right? Like that they have a customer.
I think green. I don't remember. I think green meant that there's people
in there.
I don't remember which way was which, but
yeah, something like
remember
that.
And I mean, it's not like every door is. There's still bars. Like it's still a street where you can go to. There's still bars and there's still people just socializing in the streets. Like it's not just like.
It's not just.
If you're picturing a road where it's just plexiglass with girls standing in it, it's not that. There's plenty of bars. There's people outside socializing. Like it's not sketchy.
It's funny because like when you're just walking down the road, the streets are packed because it's like a tourist attraction too.
Yeah, it really was. It's more of a tourist attraction, I think, than anything now.
I only saw like a few people actually go in and use the prostitutes.
I saw zero.
You saw zero? Wow.
I was
there on a pretty crowded night and I saw like a few people walk in, and obviously there's people that walk up to them and kind of mess with the prostitutes, but like they'll get mad at you.
Yeah, I accidentally took a picture.
Yeah, and there's definitely no pictures. I think it's illegal, right? It's actually illegal.
I didn't do it again, that's for sure.
Yeah, but like imagine. And it's like double decker too. Like there's ones like.
Dude, I even felt bad. I deleted the picture. I was like, oh wait, You know, like I don't, you know.
Yeah.
If I wasn't allowed to do that, like I'm not one to break the law, so I deleted it.
Yeah, you don't want to get in trouble.
Well, shit, I guess you can't do that. So.
Yeah, but it's quite interesting because like the way that I've had it put into perspective for me, it's like prostitution, I think in general is kind of a negative thing, you know, because like you don't want your daughter to become a prostitute, you know. You don't ever want anyone to have to kind of like get to that level in life where they're selling their body for money, you know? Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, it's going to happen anyways. And like, what's up, Chandler?
Hey, Chandler's back.
Have
any more promotions to say? Why are you speaking into that? We have the microphones.
Yeah, we have these
I
microphones.
just want to tell all the listeners that I just took out the trash.
Nice.
At night.
But, yeah, so like we're talking about prostitution.
We're talking about going to the.
Totally just stole this.
We're talking about going to the red light district.
It's all good. It's all good, dude.
I'll get you that one.
It's all good, man. You can have it. But so basically, like with prostitution in America, it's like it's not regulated. So you have no idea if these girls have been tested. You have no idea, you know, what the situation is, and also, you know, pornography is completely illegal because that's regulated and it's like on camera, so there's like a record of it. But as soon as you have sex with someone for money and it's not on camera, it's considered prostitution and it's illegal. Like, why is someone allowed to go have sex on camera for money, but if they're having sex behind closed doors for money, it's illegal? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
I never thought about that. That's interesting.
And I think the main reason why is because there's no record of it, so the government has no way of taxing it. You know?
Yeah.
But if they set up boundaries where, like in Amsterdam, there's like a specific street where they all are, and if you want a prostitute, you can go get one. Like, you know, they're tested legally. You've got to have a permit to be a prostitute, like all this stuff. You got to pay your taxes. You got to pay your rent to be in that space. Like, you know, you go through all the legal measures. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that. Like, and, you know, I've heard this on the Joe Rogan podcast. He's kind of like explained it like, you can go to a massage parlor and have them touch your back and massage your back and all this stuff, and they have a license for that. And there's rules and regulations around what you can and can't do in a massage parlor. But
well, the funny thing about my back is,
but as soon as they're essentially massaging your dick or whatever, you know, sex is a different thing, obviously, because it's an act of reproduction. You know, it's not the same as having a massage, but essentially, you know, a massage is pleasurable. You're allowed to go pay someone to do things to your body that feel good, but yet it's illegal for you to.
That's true. I never thought about it that way.
Have sex. And I think Amsterdam, I think it's a good thing that it's legalized there because, like I said, it's going to happen eventually. I don't condone it necessarily. Like, I don't want anyone to have to go out and be a prostitute, but if it's going to happen anyways, there should be rules and regulations around it, and we should make it legal.
Yeah. Did you ever go to Prague?
Never went to Prague.
Prague was cool.
What's I really don't even know much about Prague. Like, what do they speak there?
Czech.
Okay.
So it's in the Czech Republic, and it's Czechoslovakia broke off. I don't know when it was. I guess after the Cold War, Czechoslovakia to the Czech Republic, and then the Czech something else. So there's like two places, but so I learned this, when I was over there, that Amsterdam, I'm sure you saw this, beautiful place, right?
Yeah, gorgeous, so green and lush.
And do you know the reason why? Like, most of the places in Europe have been rebuilt. Do you know why Amsterdam is the way it looks?
No.
So Anne Frank, most of y'all, I'm assuming, know who Anne Frank is. The reason all that happened was because that's where the Germans lived during World War II, right? So why would they bomb where they live? You know, why would they make it look ugly? Like, why would they do anything? You know, because that's where they lived. That wasn't the case, actually, in Prague. Most of Europe, you know, bombed war sites, things like that.
Got destroyed in World War II.
But they lived in Amsterdam, which is why Amsterdam still looks the way it did 100 years ago. But Prague looks, I'd say, even more beautiful. Prague still has the castle that it's had from 1,000 years ago. And people lived in it up until 50 years ago. Like, Prague is a medieval city. Like, it looks as medieval as it gets, and it still is medieval. People still, like, everything is still 100% legit.
That's so cool. I love medieval cities.
It's so cool. And the reason why, at least what they told us when we went on the tour of the castle, was Hitler believed that the Holy Grail was somewhere in Prague, and that Prague was like not the holy city, but Prague was like the city where the Holy Grail was, and like a place not to destroy. And so he looked for the Holy Grail, but he didn't destroy it. He kept it as is.
So he actually believed that there is like an actual Holy Grail.
Yeah.
And what exactly is the Holy Grail?
I think it gives you like everlasting life or something, right? Like
so
that.
it's like a cup that if you drink out of it, you get everlasting life.
It's the one that I believe Jesus drank out of during the Last Supper. But he was looking for that because he's really big into artwork and he's really big into artifacts and really big into just history and religion and things like that. And so...
Not the Jewish religion. Sorry to make that joke. It's kind of fucked up.
So, yeah, I guess...
He was into religion, but not the Jewish religion.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
So,
not for obvious reasons, meaning that I'm just going to stop talking.
But yeah, so apparently that's why Prague looks the way it does, and that's why it's so pretty, which I thought was really cool. So if you ever have the chance, next time you go back to Europe,
I definitely want to go to Prague.
Oh, dude, they have a club there.
What's it called?
I don't know. It wasn't in English. It's 5 stories. Biggest club I've ever been to. Each floor was massive.
I think I remember you telling me about this. Didn't like each floor have different music?
Yeah, dude. One was like 1970s and it was like American disco with the floor lit up. Another floor had like cage dancers and EDM. Another floor was like hip hop, like Migos. You know, like we're all familiar with here in Atlanta. It's like 50 Cent. Like
that's crazy.
You name it. And then another one was like just like house party where they had like couches and stuff like that. And the beer's so cheap. It was like 50 cents for a pint.
What?
Yeah, you go to Amsterdam, it's $7, 7 euros.
Dude.
Amsterdam's where it's at. It's beautiful. Beer's cheap.
That's awesome. Where else have you been? I feel like you've been to a lot of cool places.
Let's see. Well, the places in Spain, places Amsterdam, Prague.
Did you ever go to any other places in Asia or just China?
I flew through Japan, but that doesn't really count.
Gotcha.
But in China, I've been to like
a bunch of cities there.
Like 15 different cities probably.
To kind of go back to China, what, you were talking about earlier, we were talking about like buying fake stuff and the whole fake industry. Are people just selling fake stuff everywhere there?
I mean, there's two ways that they have it there. At least that, obviously I'm no expert, but just through being through a traveler's eyes and what I've noticed was everything, you can just buy anything on the street. It's just think about street vendors, So there's just regular street vendors, but then they also have these malls, which are still, I assume they're legal there, because they even have like security guards and stuff walking around in them. But they have those where it's these just massive underground malls. Like think about the subway in New York City, or just a subway really anywhere. And instead of going above the ground, like the subway takes you to it, and then you get off at a stop, and there's just this massive underground mall, and you buy everything there. And so if you buy them on the street at like a really shitty vendor, you could buy, let's say, a Prada purse really cheap. It's going to look really, really fake. You go to a nicer mall, there's like different levels. It's going to be nicer, it's still fake. And then up to the place, like up to a mall or like a level, I don't know if it's like a level 1 or level 5 or whatever, but you can buy stuff that is pretty much the legitimate thing. It's probably actually made at the
same factory.
Like it's legit.
Because everything's made in China. You see made in China stickers everywhere. So basically like the factory owners.
And you just pay more for that. But
yeah,
you're not paying for, it's different because like I never went to any, there's no Prada. I mean, I don't have a Prada purse, but there's no like, I didn't see a Prada store. But at all these places you could buy like a purse store had Pradas that were still, 4 times cheaper than probably what you'd pay in America.
Yeah, definitely.
But it definitely like, I felt some of these
looks like very authentic and it feels real. Yeah.
Or if they get like a Louis Vuitton belt, it's still like the legit, or a wallet, for example.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. And that, it's interesting because, the fake industry, a lot of times these products, like you were saying, are made in the exact same factories that the real thing is made in. So they have access to the exact same parts. They know exactly how the process that they make it is. So it's very easy for them to just take advantage of making fakes.
Exactly. Here's a machine. This machine makes purses. Let's just use synthetic leather instead of using real leather. Okay, now let's use 50% real, 50% fake. Okay, now let's use the real leather, but then you're not bringing it to America. You're not, there's no tariffs. There's not a whatever. Everything's just so much cheaper.
It makes sense. Like they've got all the raw materials there. They don't have to ship it anywhere, so it's just there. Do they have like
That's
fake
what my guess is.
iPhones and stuff there? Or like fake phones? Like,
Probably. I mean, I saw tons of phones.
I'm sure that there's like fake electronics.
I mean, think about like a regular mall. You know, they have the electronic stores. They have everything.
Yeah.
You know?
So they've got like everything fake that you can imagine. Shoes, electronics, purses, clothes, anything.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Everything's made in China. I know that there's a lot of Chinese, very wealthy Chinese people that are importing tons of luxury cars now. Like there's a huge scene in China for like tons of supercars and stuff like that. Did you see a lot of crazy cars there or not really?
I saw the craziest car I saw was I think it was a Lamborghini. No, it was definitely a Ferrari. It wasn't a, well, I guess a Ferrari's more curved, you know?
Yeah, it wasn't as angular.
It wasn't as angular, but it was probably a Ferrari, but I couldn't really tell because the whole thing was made of like bluish purple chrome.
Yeah, that's
you know that color. I mean, it was like a blue,
I know exactly
purple
what you're
chrome.
saying. That's exactly actually what I was going to say. Is the whole Chinese and Asian style over there for cars is they make them look so wacky and crazy. Like they'll make them like purple or blue, pink chrome.
I saw a lot of Maybachs
with lights and stuff. Yeah, lots of Maybachs. They're really into like those luxury sedans, Rolls Royces, stuff like that.
Yeah.
One interesting thing that when I went to the Lamborghini factory, I actually did a tour of the Lamborghini factory.
I saw those pictures and videos you have.
Yeah, if anyone wants to see that, it's actually on my YouTube channel. I have my whole like Snapchat story from that whole day. I went to the Lamborghini factory and I went to the Pagani showroom and factory, which was really cool. But the Lamborghini museum, I got to take videos of, but the factory itself where they make the cars, I was not allowed to take any pictures or videos. They actually take your phone and camera and they put it in a locker so they know that you won't take any pictures or anything. If you're caught taking pictures, you get kicked out of the tour.
That's wild.
But one crazy thing that they were talking about is like Ferrari, they're very traditionalist, and basically, you know, every Ferrari you see is basically like black, blue, or pretty much 99% of them are all red. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you'll see a yellow one, sometimes you'll see
I've seen a
very
few
rarely
whites.
some green ones, some white ones, you know, but they're sticking with those Italian flag colors. You got the red, green, and white, and you've got the blacks, and you've got the yellows because the Ferrari symbol is yellow. But that's pretty much it. Like you really don't see any Ferraris that are sometimes a blue, but you don't see very many that are other colors. Lamborghinis, on the other hand, they go buck wild. Like from the factory, you can order a pink Lamborghini. From the factory, you could order you can go crazy. And so these Chinese guys that are trying, what they were explaining to me in the factory tour is a lot of these Chinese buyers, they're going to Ferrari and saying, hey, can you make me a pink, I want to make this. I know you won't sell me a pink Ferrari, but I eventually want it to be, so can you customize these things? And they'll essentially be like, no, we don't even want to do business with you because we know you're going to deface our car and make it look like shit to them.
That's interesting.
But Lamborghini is like, dude, we will support any kind of vision you have for the car. Let's make it work. Let's get it customizing and let's get going. Which is really crazy because that's another reason why they don't want you to take pictures of the cars, because some people have really, really unique specs where they've taken a lot of time to put in the exact stitching, the exact leather, the exact combination of colors into their car. So they don't want pictures of their car floating around on the internet for fear that someone else will copy them and make the exact same spec. So like these Asian guys, these Chinese guys, they take like really great pride in like making the craziest Lamborghinis they can. And I thought that was very interesting because they want, essentially they're just showing off. They're just being super flashy. Yeah. And so they'll install like extra lights on them that are like flashing. They'll have like crazy chrome, everything. It's
there's some cool cars over there, but that was probably the craziest one I saw. It was all chrome, like looked like a mirror, like a purplish mirror kind of.
It's probably a wrap though, because what's funny is most of those cars are carbon fiber, right? The body is carbon fiber to keep it light. Back in the day, you could essentially have a chrome car, like the old, like, you think of like a ghetto, old Buick or something that's like sitting low.
Bro, that's what I drive. I'm just kidding.
No, but like, you know what I'm talking about, like a low rider, or like, you think of, you remember the song Riding Dirty, like in the music video, if you got those dudes in the car.
I love Riding Dirty. I remember dancing to that in like my 8th grade dance or something.
Heck yeah. Shout out to all the 8th grade DJs out there playing Riding Dirty. But like those cars, the bodies were actually made of metal. So you could buff out the paint and like actually make the car, polish the actual metal of the car and make the body of the car chrome. So the whole thing is like metal chrome. But these cars, since they're made of carbon fiber, you're not just going to replace all the body panels with metal. So it's actually a sticker. The whole thing is a vinyl wrap that happens to be reflective. So it's basically like a sticker that they put on the car to make it.
So it's not a true chrome.
It's not actual chrome, but I mean, you call it chrome because that's what it looks like. You know,
That had me fooled.
it's a chrome wrap. But if you think about it, like, you can't make carbon fiber chrome, you know, and there's no such thing as like chrome paint. Like, you can't like paint a mirror. So it's literally like a sticker that just it's really, really high quality vinyl, but it's essentially just a giant sticker.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's
That's
actually
awesome.
Yeah, because I remember watching Cribs one time and they were talking about that, and I was like, back in the day, and I was like, ah. And so if you ever look at a car that like looks like it's chrome, if you go right up close to it, a lot of times you'll get this kind of like orange peel effect where there's like tiny little bumps in it, whereas like real chrome would be like completely smooth. Like, you'd literally be able to see the exact reflection, kind of like a spoon or something. But like, if you go up to one of those chrome cars, from a distance it looks like actual like a mirror, but when you get up real close, like, the image gets a little bit distorted because it's like a sticker. It's kind of interesting.
One image, any image, what was your favorite? If you could look at something right now, anywhere other than like abroad, where would you be?
If I could just like look at something,
Most beautiful. Just put yourself in that place, you know.
Vondel Park in Amsterdam is really awesome.
Is that the one with the bike path?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, and I've talked about this on another podcast, but I did mushrooms there, and like, me and my friend Tom were just like tripping balls in this Vondel Park, just like looking around. And then we went back there the next day, and it was just as cool. Like, we weren't high. Like, the first day we like tripped balls and like walked around. Second day we rented bikes and just went around, and it was still just as cool. Like, it's so beautiful. Everything is like so lush. Everyone is like outside playing. And dude, the Dutch people are beautiful people. Like,
Dude, the girls are gorgeous.
the girls are gorgeous.
Oh my God.
The guys are attractive too. Like, I'm not gay, but like, I'm, as a straight male, the dudes are very attractive there. They're all tall and like perfect looking, and everyone dresses like very stylishly. You know, like, it's just like an awesome place to be. Like, me and my friend, the whole time we were there, we're like, I need a Dutch girlfriend so bad. I want to date a Dutch girl.
Dude, I know whether I learned today, actually, before you got here. I'm studying the endocrine system right now, about why people like Norwegians and people in cold areas are so much taller on average. It's because of one of the hormones that our body secretes. It's actually right up there, called, which one was it? Oh crap! See, I just learned it today. I can't even see the board. But pretty sure it's I think it was thyroid hormone. It's actually upregulated when in cold environments.
So you get taller.
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
Because one of the things thyroid hormone does, it positively correlates to growth hormone, right? Like, they basically use the same pathway. So when one stimulated, the other stimulated. And so since thyroid hormone, is stimulated, the growth hormone's also stimulated. The thyroid hormone is stimulated in cold environments, you know, to make your body a little bit warmer. And that's why you actually grow more. Huh.
When people have like a thyroid, you know, people say, oh, she has a thyroid problem, he has a thyroid problem. And typically it's associated with people that have a hard time losing weight. What does that have to do with anything?
It has to do with metabolism. So in children, it helps you grow, but in adults, it's more based off of metabolism.
Huh. So it slows down your metabolism, so you're just not burning fat.
Yeah. So if you have, metabolism can, you know, fats, really anything. Glucose.
Yeah. I mean, that's the main source. Glucose. So, everything breaks down to glucose, essentially.
But yeah, if you have a thyroid problem, you're not actually excreting enough. But like, if it's cold out, you're going to excrete extra. So when you're younger, if you're excreting extra because of the cold environment, you're actually going to be positively correlated with the growth.
With being taller.
With the endocrine system, and you're actually going to grow more.
Huh. I wonder if
that's kind of what I put towards it, but it stimulates growth in colder environments.
I wonder if you had a thyroid problem and you have, like, for example, you have a harder time like losing weight, or you know, you've always struggled with that. I wonder if being in a cold environment would actually help, because it might secrete more.
Interesting. Yeah.
That'd be an interesting concept. I'm sure that's been studied and looked at before. But so we talked about traveling a lot. You asked me what the most beautiful thing was, so I should ask you, what do you think is the most beautiful thing that you've seen?
Dude, yeah.
Or like if you could be transported to
if I could be transported to one place. Man, see, now I'm hypocritical because I'm trying to think of one place, but there's
so many. Just name like the top three.
The top 3 places that I've gone in the past 12 months would have to have been, I'm not sure what the order is, but where Avatar was filmed in the Yellow Mountains. That's actually what it looks like. It's absurd.
That's crazy, dude.
It's the most wild thing. And so you can't hike the mountains because they're plateaus, so you can't just, scale it straight up. So you take a massive gondola. If y'all don't know what that is, it's something you take skiing as well to kind of propel you through the mountains, on like a pulley system.
Kind of like a ski lift, but like way bigger.
It's a ski lift, but it's encapsulated.
Yeah.
And so you get in that, and you probably go for a few miles into these mountains, going up and over them. You're over the clouds, and you eventually get to this one area, and they carve steps. Leave it to the Chinese. This shit is insane. They carve steps out of these plateaus. So you're basically climbing a ladder made out of stone, and that's what it looks like. It looks like Avatar. It is, or I forgot where they say it takes place in the movie, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I can't think of
wherever the place is there, right?
Pandora,
that's it. So it looks like Pandora. It is the coolest thing. So I'd say that would be one of them. Another one would it's definitely when I went snowboarding in Whistler, which is my favorite. I'm a huge snowboard bum. I'm stuck somewhere between the super nerd that has aspirations, to become a transplant or trauma surgeon or some other type of doctor. And then I also just want to be this massive snowboard bum and just kind of live in the mountains. And so I spent over a month, probably closer to 2 months in total, snowboarding this winter break.
That's awesome.
Went to 10 different resorts all throughout the U.S., mostly out west, but the best one by far. And it's rated number 1 right now in the world's Whistler. And it's right on the coast of Canada. It's right north of Vancouver. But I've got this one vision of me just sitting down in the snow, so deep, so peaceful. There's nobody around. It's in the back behind the ski resort because I do a lot of backcountry stuff, and just looking out, and you feel so small, but there's something cool about feeling small.
That's awesome. So is that your other place that you'd be? So
that would be the second, and then the third is the exact same thing, but this is when me and my roommates, the same guys that I spent time with in Europe, living in a bungalow in Spain. We went to Alaska and did research and classes there over the summer. And we did a 7-day trek through the Chilkoot Trail,
What's the
Chilkoot Trail. If any of y'all are really big hikers, definitely something to check out. It's a hike. Well, I guess back then it wasn't like a leisure hike, but it's where the gold rush of 1898 was. And it starts in a town. What's the name of the town? I was in Juneau for most of it, and then we had to take a ship up to it. It'll come to me, but anyways, it's maybe
a little port town or something.
A port town 3 hours north of Juneau, Alaska, by boat. So it's about 3 hours north. But you start right there on the coast, and it's 7 days, and you go over the mountain range, and it's called the longest museum in the world. Because the whole thing, it's 35 miles, which it shouldn't take 7 days, or it's 7 nights, 6 days, or something like that. Maybe it was 7 days, 6 nights. But it shouldn't take that long to do 35 miles. But on one of the days, you just go up. It's called the Golden Staircase. And they're boulders the size of cars, and you climb up them. And you have a 40-pound pack on your back. And you're basically scaling over a mountain. And it's one of the most difficult things I've ever done. It's really, really slippery, snowy, icy, wet, windy.
And this was in the summer?
This was in the summer. This is in July.
And it's still snowy and cold.
Snow everywhere. It's probably in the 40s and 50s.
Wow.
Snow everywhere. The wind like you wouldn't believe, because it's coming right off the coast. And just sitting at the top of that and just looking out into Alaska, the air smells different. Everything smells different over there. And it was just, again, just feeling small. And looking out was one of the coolest things. I'm sure you've felt that,
Yeah.
plenty of the places you've gone. It's a cool feeling.
Yeah, for sure. Feeling small is definitely awesome. It puts it all into perspective, like, holy shit, we're all on this little green spaceship flying through space. Like,
Yeah.
whoa. It's like, you don't really take time to think about that too often, you know?
No, you don't.
You're too caught up in your little bubble of getting to work and working and doing, you know, studying or driving to work, or you're too wrapped up in your small little life to think about how much of a bigger picture we're all part of.
Yeah. I believe that traveling has really helped me with where I am today, from starting off with that 2.0 in college to my last semester, graduate, like, I mean, I'm not one to brag by any means. Like, I'm saying I got a 2.0.
Yeah.
But, you know, I worked my ass off, and I ended up...
And you got into Harvard, man.
I got into Harvard my last semester of college. I made a 4.1.
Dude,
because
that's awesome.
we're on a plus-minus system. So I made straight A's and a couple A pluses.
Wow.
Which I was really excited about that.
That's awesome, dude.
Got into Harvard, you know, still count my blessings on that. But I think the reason that is all possible is because I've done all this traveling. I wouldn't be able to sit in this room that I'm sitting in right now. I got here at 9 o'clock this morning. I'm going to leave at 4 a.m. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I hadn't had these experiences and known what's out there. And
why is that? Like, why would that motivate you so much?
Because I want to keep doing it. I want to keep exploring. But in order to explore, you have to have, you know, you have to have money. You have to have a means to do it.
So yeah, becoming a doctor, you make good money. So
that's one of the reasons. How
long will you be in school for?
So it's going to be a while. I'll explain that in a second, but I just want to touch on, like, the reason I want to be a doctor. It really doesn't have anything to do with the money. You don't really make it in the industry if it has to do with the money, but it more has to do with the fact that I was so impacted. My entire life changed after I was literally impacted by the truck, and got out of that surgery, and I had a working hand. They didn't know if they were going to be able to save my fingers when I went in, and I've got this hand, and after 10 months and 3 surgeries, I actually have 100% dexterity and strength, which I was not supposed to have anywhere near that. And I want to be able to give back exactly what I was able to get from it. And so you asked earlier, stories. I'd say the most touching story, if you want to hear that real quick.
Yeah.
Long story short, like, somewhat details, but I probably can't give all of them, because I think it was it might have been on the news. I think it was. But anyways, I'm standing in there. I pulled an all-nighter the night before to study for a biochemistry exam that I had, and I had work from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. that day. So picture the night before, I pulled an all-nighter because that day I had a biochemistry exam, school all day, sporting events as Mike, go to the hospital at 5 p.m. And we've got these trauma rooms. We get these two kids, like literally kids, that come in. They both have bullet holes in them. And
how old were they?
I don't know their age exactly, but they both were shot. They were young, like they were kids.
Like 10?
No, like probably closer to 20, maybe 16, 17. Gotcha. I don't know their exact age, but I was just getting off because they came in right at 11 o'clock, and I was literally walking out the door when they got brought in. And so I walked into the trauma room, and I'm standing there. And at this point, one of the surgeons that I met kind of knew my story, and like he knew like how badly I want to become a trauma surgeon, and like I really am working my ass off to do this, and for the right reasons. And so he said, "All right, go ahead, you can scrub in with me." And what
does that mean? You can put on scrubs and go into the surgery?
You can go into the surgery. So I mean, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a PA, nurse practitioner. Like, obviously I'm not touching the patient, right? Or there's 2 kids. So I'm not touching them, but you know, I can stand and watch everything, kind of see how the atmosphere is, because it's a totally different atmosphere in that room than it is in where you were laying or where I was laying.
Yeah.
It's a different thing when you're in the trauma OR. It's just completely different, because the whole point is just to make sure that the person lives. Like, you know, they're on the verge of death. And so we're back there, and we go in, and we don't know their names. At least this is what I got out of it, was I didn't know their names. I don't think the surgeon I was with knew their names either. And that's just because they got brought in so fast. That's not important at the moment. I don't think they had ID on him. So he's doing everything he can. One of the kids was shot in the abdomen a few times, and the other in the head. And so you have to, like, if there's only one surgeon on, or, you can't, one person can't be working on two people at the same time. And so he decides to go with the person with the abdomen, with the bullet holes in the abdomen. And he's working on him. At this point, it's 2, 3, probably closer to 4 o'clock in the morning. I just pulled an all-nighter the night before. I'm exhausted, but there's no way in hell I'm leaving. So I'm standing there, kind of swerving. I'm super tired. Eyes are bloodshot.
What exactly were they doing at this point? Trying to extract the bullets?
Yeah, taking the bullets out, going through his abdomen.
And so when a bullet goes through your abdomen, you're ripping through apart all kinds of vital organs.
Yeah, so stitching stuff up, finding all the bullets if they weren't a through and through, like if they didn't go through the stomach and out the back. And so really the goal is to make sure this person does not die, because otherwise they will.
You could bleed out.
They'll
what happened with the guy with the bullet in the head?
I left because someone else took their case. So we were focused on the kid.
I see.
So we focused
So someone else took the guy with the head. It wasn't like he was just off to the side while the abdomen guy was getting worked on.
No.
Okay.
So, but originally there was the one surgeon there, right? But 2 people got brought in, so they had to find someone else.
Gotcha.
But he got taken somewhere else, and so I was only in, because you're not gonna have 2 people in one.
Yeah, that doesn't make
surgery
sense.
Because it's a sterile environment.
Yeah.
So we're hanging out. Not hanging out is not the right word. I was in the room, observing everything, and then but we don't know their names, right? And so somehow I guess the families knew, or they were contacted. I guess they figured out who they were, because I'm sure if there's a gunfight going in your street, you know who it is, and if your kid's gonna come home. And so we have these 2 families that are in there, and the other kid, he's still in surgery. He's somewhere else, because when you have your patient, they're your patient. You're focused on them, right? As the surgeon. And so we go in, but we don't know who their names are, or I didn't know who their names are. And so we're like standing there, and there's both the families, but we didn't know which family was which. And so we're kind of like describing like the tattoos or whatever. And this one mother just starts bawling, crying, because it was her son that was sick. Like that we were. Oh, I didn't save him, but I was in that room, right?
Yeah. And
so she's like, "Thank you so much," blah blah blah, and she's hugging the surgeon. And one of the views that I will never quit. And if any of y'all want to be a doctor, this is why you do it right here. There's a son, or her son. The brother was probably 25, 26 years old with Down syndrome. Comes up to me, crying, gives me a hug, and goes, "Thank you for saving my brother." And I looked at the surgeon, who's getting hugged and crying by the mom. And the surgeon goes, "Just take it. This is why you do it." And I was like, damn. It was probably one of the most emotional things that's ever happened to me.
That's crazy.
Between that and the traveling and knowing that I've done all that, I can sit in this room for 16 hours right now, 12 hours.
Yeah, because I was going to say, man, I could not do that. I could not sit and try to memorize stuff and study for hours and hours.
It's not a job, though. I'm going to be able to use this hand that
would have been completely crushed like Smarties.
Yeah, exactly. Crushed like Smarties, exactly. We're all here for a reason. Sometimes people learn it quicker than others. Sometimes people don't really see it and let the opportunity pass them. But you're not doing it. I think this podcast thing is great. Like, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm doing my dream, and I still don't believe I got into Harvard.
Yeah, dude.
Because you knew me in 9th grade.
Yeah, dude.
Like, I would be the last person.
Literally, which is crazy to think about. Like, because I remember you always talking big game. Always exaggerating stuff. Saying just ridiculous stuff.
Whoa, except for the triathlons. That was
true.
real.
The triathlons were real, which is crazy, because the funny thing is you did exaggerate a lot, so people sometimes didn't believe you. But then it was like, oh shit, Matthew's actually really good at triathlons. Holy shit. Like, he won the whole triathlon? What do you mean? He beat all the adults? What? But coming from that, you're saying back in the day, oh, I want to do this, I want to go to Harvard, blah, blah, blah. And now you're actually accepted to Harvard.
Yeah.
Is really inspiring, dude.
Thank you. And that's really cool. Something I've learned growing up is I love the song. My mom actually showed it to me. And it's like, always stay humble and kind, And yeah, I always I talked big game and all that stuff. But times change you. You know, be the best person you can be.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I'm talking about the Harvard thing here now, but I get self-conscious. Like I don't like to talk about it in front of people.
Yeah, because I feel like big Harvard guy.
Like you're almost getting judged for it. Like that's not who I am. I'm from the suburbs of Atlanta. I come from a good like wholesome family. I've got brothers. I got my mom and dad. Like we're like a good family. I've got my morals. I've got not that Harvard is anything. Harvard is a great place, but like sometimes you might think, a snobby person, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a Harvard man.
Yeah, it's a Harvard.
Which dude, when I went up there, every person I met was so nice. The staff was so nice. It's almost like when you just hear like a stereotype of being like a Northeastern, like, like I don't know, just
waspy kid. Or you're saying they were really good? They were really nice.
I'm saying they were the opposite of like, or
what you would hear of.
Let's say when you're up there, some people might think, oh, Georgia, what are you guys, Hicks?
Yeah.
We're not. We have running water down here. You know?
I don't sound like I'm from the South, really. I don't think I do. Some people might think I have a Southern accent, but I don't think I do.
But it's the same thing. Like, I never had like that view of them up there. But when I went up there, dude, everybody was so nice. Like, I'm so excited to move there. Like, I did not meet one person. And during the admitted student weekend, all the professors, dude, every one of them came up, said, how are you enjoying everything? And one of the big things that they said during the admitted student weekend was like, we want you here. Like, you can go to a lot of other places and they say, we want you here, but they kind of just like, they want your money, or like, they say, we want you here to everybody and then only take some people. But they don't accept, it's probably the hardest school in the world to get into.
Yeah,
they only accept people that they legitimately want there and that want you to want to be there. So they're open arms, like legit awesome, down to earth conversations. Like, it was
nice.
It was so great, dude.
That's awesome, dude. Well, dude, we've crossed the 2 hour mark. We've been talking for a while, dude.
Dude, it's been a while. It was good.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good place to end the podcast, like getting into Harvard, dude. That's legit. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, or anything that you want people to know, or where can people find you? Where can they follow you on? So anything you want to shout out, anything you want to say?
You guys can follow me if you want. I'm nowhere near as popular as Andrew over here with all the social media stuff. I live in a little cage right now studying.
Yeah, just focusing on school.
But I'm not antisocial, so hit me up. But Matthew Schaefer, Matthew, last name Schaefer. I actually, I know my Snapchat name. It's It's Matt Schaefer.
I can post it in the show notes.
Andrew will post it because
I'll post it. But yeah, so if you have any questions about how do I get into, what do I need to do to get into Harvard? If you have questions about becoming, doing anything that Matthew's done, if you have questions about traveling or whatever, dude, I'm sure Matthew will have to answer them.
That's great. Yeah, exactly what Andrew said. If you have any questions about mascotting, because
that's another thing. Mascotting.
Who the hell gets in the world of mascotting? If you have any interest about going to medical school, I am studying for the Mcat, and I will be taking the Mcat actually in 1 month from today, exactly 1 month from today, and applying. So I'm pretty knowledgeable on all of that. My roommates from college, they're all going to medical school next year, so I'm really knowledgeable about that. If you want to go to grad school, I'm going to grad school in August. So if you have any questions about that, you just want to chat. Really, what Andrew said.
Some booty pics.
Some booty pics. Oh yeah. Those are always appreciated.
That would be appreciated as Matthew's studying for 12 hours a day or whatever he is studying, 15 hours a day.
It's true. Hey, it fluctuates. Yesterday I think was 9, so today is 16.
Damn.
So, but yeah,
it's crazy, man.
Dude, this was fun,
dude.
It was cool. This is the most I've talked, and I've been doing this now for. This marks, oh shit, it's been 30 days. I have 30 more days to go.
30 more days to go, man.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, you too.
And I'll have to come visit you in Harvard, man.
Do it.
Coming up there. Cool.
For sure.
Well, thanks, Matthew, for being on the podcast, and we'll see you next time on the next episode. Boom. That's it. That's all I got, folks. This episode's over. I definitely learned a lot. I hope you did too. Matthew's got some crazy stories. And when Matthew's in medical school or his surgical residency, we'll definitely have to get him on again to tell some more crazy stories. But if you want to follow Matthew on Instagram, his username is at @M_SCHAEFER777. And on Snapchat, he is Matt Schaefer 777. All right. If you want to support the podcast, as always, best way to do that, go to the podcast app if you have an iPhone. Go to the iTunes store if you're on a computer. Find my podcast, leave it a 5-star review, all that good stuff. Leave me some feedback in there, what you like, what you don't like. And subscribing really, really helps me tremendously for me to be discovered and jump up in that new and noteworthy section. So even if you're not going to be listening to all of the episodes, I would greatly appreciate the downloads anyways, because it helps me get discovered. But if you want to follow me, best way to do that is to go to my website, andrewdeitsch.com. That's andrewdeitsch.com. And you can find links to all my social media handles and stuff. Episode 13 is up next with my friend Connor Peterson. Connor's one of the most interesting people I know. He's a total freak, total human optimization freak. His current obsessions include ninja training, obstacle course races, learning the guitar, meditation, cryptocurrency, day trading, and much, much more. He's a very interesting dude. Right now, he's actually training for a 24-hour obstacle course race in Iceland, and his workouts are absolutely mental. He's crazy. But during our conversation, we talked about his childhood, his transition into fighting and fitness, and we talked about his wardrobe malfunction during the taping of American Ninja Warrior. But he's an awesome dude. You don't want to miss that podcast. It's coming out very, very soon. So keep it locked. Keep it locked. That's all I got. Love you guys. Keep sharing. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.